you can hear Blacklight.
Okay,
There you
hi.
go.
Hello.
I totally forgot. There
Hello.
we go. What's up, guys? Okay, everything's fine.
Okay, yeah, I can bump you up a little bit.
Okay. Hi, guys.
And the music down.
I'm good. People are asking how I'm doing. I'm good. How are you guys? How are you, Blacklight?
Hey, you
What's
seeker.
up?
Hi, Kung Fu. What's up?
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. It's just, we were talking a little earlier, and I'm busy as
Yep.
fuck. But
Yeah.
good.
As you were saying, yeah, you did mention you had a lot going on right now.
I listed things for about 5 minutes in a row and breathed maybe twice. I was
Yeah,
like,
no,
I'm
that-
on this thing and it goes into this thing. I was just trying.
I didn't say at the time, but I was impressed with the rapidness with which it was coming out.
Yeah,
but
that's how fast my brain goes all the time.
I know how you feel, honestly.
Yeah.
I have to make conscious efforts to slow it down because
Right?
it tends to race
Yeah.
beyond any semblance of control. Yeah, no, I know.
I
think
I
that's-
actually need like a head scratch or something to make me just shut down for a little bit. Oh god,
Right?
we're carping. Oh god, it's carp.
Well, that's part. Oh God, carp.
So I'll give you a quick background. So last night,
I'm a little out of the loop here.
it's okay. Almost everybody on the internet is. So last night we were playing some Town of Salem in the Discord, doing like some sub games, and we were like, okay, we need like random names. So I was like, well, let's do. Somebody suggested doing Pokemon, so I was like, well, I'll just do names of Pokemon. I'm like, I love that idea.
Sweet.
So, I was like Venusaur and like Milotic, for rounds. Yeah. I love them. And then one chat member was Magikarp. And staying true to character, they didn't actually talk in the chat. They would only write in character by going carp.
Carp.
All the time for their defense at trial. And then they were also... yeah.
That's a wild card. What do you do with that? That's a great mind game.
But the other thing is, they were also the medium. So when a bunch of us died at night, they would just go carp, over and over.
So okay. That's not too helpful then.
It was so funny though. So we just kept it up through the next game, and then Pseudo raided somebody with it. We just spammed Carp in their chat for about 10 minutes. He thought it was a real raid, and I was like, oh shit.
That is great.
And then I ended up renaming all of my mods in Discord under different Carp names. Anybody who was online. And a bunch of us renamed ourselves Carp names as well in Discord. And one of my viewers has named herself on Twitch. Used the nickname feature to name herself Carp Love instead of Puppy Love for the next 2 months.
Carp, that is amazing.
So funny.
Which is I guess the cooldown on changing your name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no poofy hair today, Fascist Ed. No, sorry, man.
Okay, so
hey JMP, what's up? How's it going, dude?
Halvencion, is Pheno. Okay, I just need to... With the new nicknames, I actually write down... I mean, FFZ will show their old name, but just so I see it in chat, I'm actually setting their alias so that in parentheses I'll have their old Twitch name so I can... That's
cool.
Tell
Everybody who's come in so far for me it's been a pretty obvious name change. I haven't had too much difficulty, luckily.
Okay.
That's been nice. Like they change it to like a different variation.
Oh, okay. That's only like a third for me. 2/3 of the people with different nicknames now are like totally different.
Hey, I was tempted to go with a new name. I understand the like, okay, all right, let's start fresh. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
I always think Blacklight Attack's a little too long a name. It doesn't make any sense. I'm just lucky the acronym works out.
Yeah, I'm lucky people came up with nicknames for me because I was like, Kung Fu. I'm like, do I really want people to call me that? No, I'm so used to it. And then Foo came about. Yeah. And now people call me Foof. Kung Fu works out. Yeah. They call me Foofs.
Foof. Yeah, that leads to so many other things, of course.
Just call me Foo. Yeah, exactly. So we got it.
Yo, Eskimo, thanks so much for the 11 months, dude.
Did we win? I think we won that round.
You commissioned something through Revlo? That's something I've forgotten to set up on the new computer is my Revlo alerts. So I have completely forgotten Revlo. So okay, all right.
Good reminder.
Yes.
For Blacklight.
I know. I had like one. So one thing they do is they commission terrible marker board art with the points they collect.
Oh, that's great. Oh yeah.
And it's just awful. And I think it was Eskimo's thing actually. I had one thing to do. And I was like, all right, I'll get to that tomorrow. And then that was like the night my computer blew. So I was just, so I remember I had like one commission that somebody got dicked out on. It might've been Eskimo.
Oh no. Okay. Actually, you know what that just
thanks for reminding me, Eskimo.
Yeah.
What's that?
This reminded me, I was talking to my sister Fu, the other night on the phone. She's trying to get her PS3 to work and it's old. But she's having trouble troubleshooting right now because her laptop died. And I was like, oh no! Because
that sucks.
She uses it constantly. Like, she doesn't have a desktop.
Yeah,
I don't think so. So her laptop died, and I was like, oh my God, so when was the last time you backed it up? And she's like, oh yeah, I need to get like a cloud service or something. And I'm like, but when was the last time you backed it up? And she's like, I haven't. And I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I feel so bad. I'm like, I just backed up my laptop because I'm going overseas and like trying to set up my RAID system. Like, oh.
I had like 2 separate backups and I still lost everything.
Oh, that's
I was able to recover some stuff from an older backup, but I lost like a lot of my new scenes and stuff.
That really sucks. Oh, that's
yeah. You have to back up. You have to back up yourself.
Yeah. So I have my Twitch folder. I have like the same Twitch folder on all 3 of my computers and on 2 different drives.
Yeah, like that's the kind of stuff you have to do, and you have to keep up with it. That was my problem. My cloud backup, I didn't update regularly.
Right, exactly.
So it was like 4 months old.
Time. Yeah, mine was like I just finally made everything the same for the first time in a long time. So it's like,
well, them's the breaks. But on the plus side, even if it's blown, like unless something went wrong with the hard drive, she can probably get that recovered at like a Geek Squad or something.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I know.
Any like important data on there.
She should be. This week.
That's recoverable. They can always hook up that drive to another machine and get it.
Andy, I know. I was tempted. Just wait until tomorrow. What's up,
Hey, you pants.
Hi, guys. What's up, Nam?
What's up, everyone? How are you guys doing? Are you guys ready to talk about some Final Fantasy?
Yeah, Varian, I got you. Yeah, so let's do the thing. We are talking about Final Fantasy, you guys. And
yep. Final Fantasy VII.
For anybody who doesn't know, it's his favorite game. And I have just finished it for the first time ever.
And how long ago did you finish? It was kind of recently, right?
Last week.
It was last week.
Yeah,
okay.
I finished on Wednesday, or did it take Wednesday? Yeah, I finished on Wednesday.
And you did it, just a reminder, right? You did it completely blind, no help whatsoever, no strategy guide, looking nothing up.
Correct.
Which is funny because that's different from my experience, even from the get-go. Even 9-year-old me had the strategy guide because that was an easy selling point for the Funko Land employee.
Right. So, yeah. No, a bunch of people were saying that they used guides when they were little, and I get that.
Oh yeah, they were huge back then. They were huge, and like it wasn't until later you start to get that sense of like, no, you know what? This is kind of cheating. I should try to play it myself. When you were a kid, it was like, dude, I get a whole picture book. Sweet. I used to take my Final Fantasy guide to bed with me when my parents saw I couldn't play anymore. You got to go to bed.
Cute.
So but you can read until you fall asleep. So I would take my strategy guide, and I actually had Aerith's death spoiled for me when I was a kid.
Oh no!
Because I read ahead in the strategy guide.
No, you spoiled yourself. That sucks.
I was a kid though. I didn't care. And I actually didn't like Aerith when I was a kid. So I was like, who cares? It wasn't until I was older that I kind of understood the whole tragedy behind it.
She's all right. Do you want to hear all my opinions on everybody? It's so funny.
Yes. Well, here's the thing though. So I know because you told me that you've been preferring Tifa through the run, which a lot of people do. A lot of people do. And from the beginning, they wanted people to kind of have their choice. They intentionally, in the story goes pretty much the same way regardless of your dialogue choices, but they intentionally set up the story so that Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa are an awkward love triangle so the player can kind of decide what their preference is.
Yeah, so what we realized is that my severe preference toward Tifa and my any negativity I had toward Aerith was because the game kind of prompts you to do that. Like it's basically when it offers the option, it's basically saying like, yo, choose who you like better. So I did that, and then it just caused me to like Aerith so much less because I'm like, stop getting in the way of our dates and shit because you just go away. Like that's how I felt about her.
And that is one thing they do poorly in this situation is it's so binary. Like you can either be totally in love with Aerith and a complete dick to Tifa or vice versa. There's no way to just be like cool with one of them and get to like them as a friend and then just romantically prefer the other one.
Yeah, but
like no, it's
but then
it really makes you say fuck the other one, you know?
But in like predetermined scenes, like Cloud still is acting kind of like he prefers Aerith, like, and you're just like, but
I mean,
Tifa, I don't know.
To be fair though, if you can be nice to both of them, and in that case, like, and it kind of makes sense. This way I've tried this way. When you're just nice to both of them, he ends up going for Aerith. That's sort of the default of the game. And there's good reason for that. And they kind of follow up on that, but they often seem to forget that players had the choice, because in everything following, canonically, Aerith was the love interest. She was kind of the one that got away in a sense.
Right.
And in a way as well, not to spoil anything too much, as far I don't know if you plan on watching Advent Children, but he doesn't really like seem to appreciate Tifa. Like Tifa seems to be like what he had left. She was like the default choice because Aerith died.
Yeah, that sucks because she's so
right.
Great.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it is. So like, okay. So my biases right now against watching Advent Children are that apparently Yuffie comes and brings people materia, and I'm like, that's bullshit. That is nothing like her.
she would never do that.
Never gonna watch it.
She does say she wants them back though.
She's
movie? Like, she's been like hoarding them this whole time, and then she's like, all right, fine, you can use them, but like, I'm getting this back. You know?
Well, that's a little better. I didn't know that.
And Yuffie needed a little bit more screen time. I think a lot of people would disagree with that. A lot of people don't like Yuffie, but how did you like Yuffie, by the way?
I should tell you about my journeys with every character.
Yeah, no, please. This is what this episode is. This is what I want to hear. This is what the people at home want to hear.
Okay, my chat knows a lot about my opinions. Hi, anybody I didn't say hi to yet.
That's fine. I've played through this game so many times. These people, all these nerds have watched my Let's Play I did like a jillion years ago. They know my opinions.
Yeah, okay.
They know how I feel about stuff.
Okay.
Generally, the answer, if you want to sum up, and for your viewers who might have not seen me play through the game, to sum it all up, I look at everything through a rose-colored glass, so everything is the best to me. Like, I'm a complete fanboy nerd, so I love everybody for their flaws, etc. There you go, summed up.
Though I was gonna ask real quick though, who is your favorite and who's your least favorite out of the bunch? Because I got Yuffie and Vincent, so I think are those the only optional characters you can get?
Yes, yeah, they're a total of 9 playable characters.
Okay.
Total of 9 playable characters, and this is always an interesting part for me because I really don't have a favorite.
Okay.
I love all of them so much, with a couple of exceptions. So who's
your least favorite?
Probably my least favorite is by default Cait Sith.
Right.
But
and you call him Cait Sith?
Okay. Yeah, and it's supposed to be Ketchi or something like that.
Yeah,
it's Gaelic.
Yeah.
It's Cait Sith to me. It just always has been.
Okay, that's cool.
But Cait Sith is by default sort of supposed to be your least favorite.
Yeah. That's
You know. It's what he's built to do. He's a bastard, and he's not even a real person.
Right.
Like,
he's being controlled by a real person. But
yes. I personally like the idea of Cait Sith a lot, and I think they could have done a lot more with this sort of split in character where the robot seems to have a little bit of its own personality versus its controller.
Okay.
And on top of that, its controller doesn't really get a whole lot of screen time, so it's not. Anyway, you give me your opinions. Okay. On Cait Sith. I feel like you have a lot to say right now. Like I said, I like him for the purpose that he serves, but I see you like brimming with something, so just please don't hold it back anymore.
I just understand. No, I've just been waiting to let you hear some of my preferences on like some of the things in the game and some of the people, because I know this is your favorite game. And I'm like, maybe this time I can bring the negativity into this game.
No, please do, because this is the one game that I'm always such a fanboy over, and like, I've gotten worse over the years. I promise.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
So my favorite was Tifa. No, she was my favorite. I just latched onto her, and I just love her because she's very understatedly, understanding and sweet, and she's really patient, and she's really strong, but she's super modest about it.
Exactly. She has very low self-esteem, but she doesn't realize it's because she doesn't realize her own strength.
Yeah, that's 100%. Her biggest flaw is her like self-confidence and her self-esteem.
Big time.
And like I understand that. I've been there. So like I love that she's still this really strong character, but she's like, I don't know. She seems like,
even if she doesn't give herself credit for it.
Yeah. Like I feel like Aerith was more like intentionally and forcefully sacrificial as a character in the game, because like she dies trying to get holy for the group, but like I feel like Tifa is like the kind of understatedly sacrificial one, because like she would totally let Cloud have Aerith if you wanted her, or like she would totally, like she was just trying to look out for him, or she's like giving up all this stuff to like help out the planet, or like I don't know, she just seems like she's ready.
She does reveal Absolutely. I see exactly what you're talking about. She does reveal that the entire time throughout their adventure, she was just sort of trying to figure out how to approach Cloud and how to help him and how to solve this issue or figure out if he was even real, because Sephiroth starts making her doubt it too.
Right. Exactly.
You know? So, and that takes a lot of strength. You have to realize what a burden that would put on you, reuniting with your childhood friend like this.
Yeah, especially somebody that you started to think about more and more and more as you grew up.
Right.
You know?
Right, exactly.
And you get that kind of picture formed in your head, and
I think about how freaky that would be if it had been 7 years since you last saw somebody and they determinedly said it's been 5 years.
Yeah,
and
she's like, oh, okay, you're wrong, but...
And they see the biggest thing, it's got to be scary as hell for her to hear that calm flashback too, because he starts saying things that happened factually that no one else knew happened.
Yeah.
And in her mind, he wasn't there.
Right.
She didn't realize that whole time until
he realizes that he was
until the live stream.
Right, exactly.
So absolutely, I have to 100% agree with that. She's a very, very strong character that takes a huge burden on herself.
Yeah. So I sided with her, and then I sympathized with her, and then I picked her over Aerith, so I started heavily being heavily protective over her. And
really?
It made me shun Aerith a little bit.
Yeah, that'll happen.
They're in the prison, and then Aerith is like, "You promised me a date," and then Tifa's like, "I'm sorry, what?" And Aerith is like, "Oh my god, I didn't know you were in there." And I'm like, "Go away!" They were in a prison cell together. Leave them alone.
Remember that? Yeah, that was. And it's so funny. It's so funny if you don't prefer Tifa, because they can really make her out to be the bad guy if they want to, because she got him involved in this whole thing in the first place. They actually take that direction with the Machina Bridge. You would kind of like the flip on the characters in the abridged version.
Yeah, I've heard to watch it.
Oh yeah, no, you have to. It's definitely, season 1's about the length of a movie too, so it makes a great movie night watch.
Right, I know people keep saying we should. You're right.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing the same thing, or maybe an Advent Children double feature.
Okay, or we could do the abridged as a dual.
Yeah, we totally could. Yeah, that would be awesome. We've done this before, absolutely. We'll have to discuss that a little bit more.
Right, exactly.
But anyway, so Tifa was your favorite.
Tifa was my favorite, so that's why.
So who was your least favorite?
Ketchy.
Okay, it was definitely Ketchy.
Absolutely.
Okay, what didn't you like about Kate Sith / Ketchy?
I will tell you in just a second. I just want to say thank you to Snarky for a year of support. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
Snarky, happy anniversary, Snarky.
Super duper awesome. The dressmaker. Oh, I can't wait. Okay, so Ketchy got to me personally because I I have a really funny highlight of this. Somebody took a great clip. I mean, so Ketchy joins your party, is completely unmemorable for a while.
Pretty much.
You just forget about him. So I never cared to use him.
He forces his way into your party in the first place.
Right, and then I just forgot about him for a while, and then he reappears at the worst timing for me, because I had unknowingly won my way to get a date with Tifa, and I was so excited. In the gold saucer, I got the Tifa date.
Right, so you got the Tifa date, and then Kate Sith interrupts it.
And then he ruined it!
Yeah, he really does.
So I leaned close into the mic, and I was like, I'm going to set that motherfucker on fire. And so at the beginning of the next stream, because that was the end of my stream, I proceeded to go out into the field, put him in my party, and then cast fire on him over and over until he died.
You can do that. Yeah, that is actually. You should watch Donkey's video on the on Final Fantasy VII. He's a YouTuber, and he ends up doing the same exact thing where you see him in the field killing Kate Sith because he had Marlene kidnapped and stole the keystone, all that shit. That's hilarious. It was the same thing. Anyway,
that's great. I'm getting number 8 right now, but my bot's amazing, so they're all gone.
There is also the fact that I can't remember if this is always true or if it's just because I tend to favor Aerith in my playthroughs. But doesn't he tell? I think in the Temple of the Ancients, he would have told you that him and Tifa that Cloud and Tifa are perfect for each other. He reads your fortune one last time, right? Or does he say that Aerith are perfect for each other?
He said Aerith.
He did say Aerith, yeah.
And that's
so
stupid.
There's another reason for that.
This is so funny. I'm getting spam rated right now by all these numbers, but my bot catches all of them, so they're just immediately getting deleted.
Dude, look at them numbers go.
Yeah, go for it, guys. Go for it. You're doing great. This is hilarious.
Message
they're
deleted.
getting all the follows. That's hilarious.
Somebody clicked the button on a program they downloaded. Neat.
This is so funny.
Yeah, Andy, go for it.
Yeah, Andy, please. Yeah, if you want to. Oh,
please do. I just need a permission link. One of the mods needs to permit you there.
Okay.
So Ketchy definitely earns you some hate points. Look at the number flies, or the numbers fly. Excuse me.
Oh, there we go. We got it. That's hilarious.
Oh man.
Cool. Let's go.
You good to keep talking about?
Oh yeah, no, we're good. We all set now. We changed modes.
Okay, cool.
That's so funny. Okay, so
so Kate kind of immediately earns your hatred, and that was kind of because he cuts it off short.
Yes.
But he can't ruin the actual moment that Cloud and Tifa do get.
Yeah, so he doesn't ruin that. So so he just ruined the end of it, and I was like, you never know what could have happened, man. They had all his beds in that room. I just kept making lewd jokes about it.
He may cock block at one point, but you do know there. It's kind of hard to tell in the version that we played, but in the end, right when Disc 2 ends,
okay,
it is supposed to be heavily implied that Cloud and Tifa sleep together that night.
Oh, it does. Okay, that's what I was hoping.
It doesn't really come across in this version because I think they changed the translation to say, they kind of hint that they knew something was going on, and she goes, "You were listening," but
I noticed that moment.
Although they kind of had a heart to heart, but it's not really that embarrassing a conversation they were having.
Joke about it. Oh, I'm so glad I was.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, you were totally right then, because not the original. I think maybe the original translation, the PS1 one. She says you were watching, and she freaks out a little bit more.
That's
she doesn't.
So funny.
So it's kind of implied that they did at least hand stuff in the forest, and they were watching from the ship. I don't know.
Well, at least I made it so Cloud deserved it.
There you go.
Just got some as a second, as a backup. Ugh.
That does kind of happen when you prefer Aerith.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's kind of the death rebound.
Yeah.
Which is a little less than Tifa deserves, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Let me see.
Quite a bit less.
Okay.
Hey, thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate that, man.
Okay, so
hey, Dolan.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
So Ketchy, so once he did that, and then he was like spy. So basically, when I end up caring about a character or people in real life or whatever, whenever I care about somebody and they join my crowd, my group,
right.
I get really protective. So when anybody ever deceives, double crosses, and fucks over my group for any reason, I'm not going to be a huge fan. So can you guess my second least favorite character?
Yuffie.
Yeah, so talk about that in a minute.
And it's not even really it's no consolation to you that she's a confused teenager that thinks she's doing her homeland good. She's
really dumb.
No, she is.
She's dumb. I can tell you her redeemable qualities as well, but she's okay. Okay, so Ketchy, I know about Ketchy and how he does 3 things later on in the game to try to redeem himself, but for me, I was like, nope, it's not good enough. Every time I was like, nope, I get that you're trying to make him more likable, and it's not gonna work. Not gonna happen with me. So I don't know. I just was like, I guess when he did that, I was just done with him. I was just done forever with him.
You take it really personally when they no, definitely.
I did.
And I definitely get that too. I feel like with enough playthroughs, Kate starts to become a little bit more likable because he is this kind of he's a kind of complicated character, at least morally, right? Where does he stand as far as Kate? Catch
Whatever.
He ultimately ends up being good because he evacuates people out of the city and whatnot. And
right. Well, we were talking about it.
On the ship, right?
Yeah, we were talking about it the other night, and it seems that I didn't realize it was Reeve. Or Reeves or whatever his name is.
Yeah, they don't give you enough on Reeve to know that it was him until it's really obvious.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it until I beat the game. They were like, yeah, that was Reeve. And I was like, what? Oh, I thought he just had a transmitter in the room where those guys were at. I didn't realize it was him talking. Like, that was him.
Yeah. And the translation gets really bad whenever Shinra employees are involved for some reason. Okay. So like it's none of that helps at all.
So I ended up calling the two that he was dealing with at the end the Kiaha and Gahaha. I just called them the Dum Dums. I'm like, those two Dum Dums.
The Dum Dums. That's pretty much what they are. They're like the two
Dum Dums. They're terrible. I hate them.
They're morons.
So they are. So so I get like the one redeemable thing about Ketchy, like besides him like trying to do good for the group, I guess. Yo, Blue, thank you for 10 months, by the way. That carp stuff, it's fine. Is that I think it's kind of cool. Like hearing that it was Reeve almost changed my opinion of him. Almost, not really, but I thought it was. I think that's understandable. Yeah, because it's just like seeing him being such a high up exec. I didn't realize he was that high up. I didn't realize it was Reeve. Yeah. And then we were talking about it, and they're like, yeah, he's just really trying to protect the people of Midgar, which is why he kept, warning them shit's going down in Midgar. So he's trying to do what he was told without being the worst of the group because he comes to like them, and then trying to protect his people. So I was like, all right, well, that's redeemable, but not enough for me. But that's cool. Like, I mean, now that I know that, I might like him slightly more in the next playthrough because I'll find him a bit more interesting.
Exactly. Then you start to see his motivations a little bit, and that's where he becomes interesting. You also start to see the personality of the robot versus the personality of the controller, and that kind of makes you appreciate him a little bit more for sacrificing himself. And that I always actually get a little bit like choked up when we have the Kate Sith scene, and he's walking in, and he's like hopping along in slow motion like a dumbass, and he's like, don't forget me. Like another one's gonna come along, but there's only one me. And I'm just like, oh, buddy. Like he's just a stuffed toy. But like that's, but nothing ever in that game. You know what? How everybody kind of gets their own moment in the sun. Nothing hits me harder than Red 13's.
Oh, I love Red. Red's one of my favorites. My main party was Cloud, Tifa, and Red.
Oh yeah, isn't he the best?
He was my boy.
He's so awesome. He's a talking dog, and like that's what every kid wanted in a game when I was growing. At least that's what every kid in like today wants is talking animals.
Yeah, he's so cool.
In a world where not all the people are talking animals, he's unique.
Yeah, he's really cool. And then I like his backstory, and I like that he's the last thing you see in the game. It's so cute. It's so cute. Awesome? I was so happy because I was like, 500 years later, what the fuck? And then I was like, it's Red with babies.
Yeah, he apparently managed to find another one of his race. He's like supposed to be the last one.
Yeah.
Although they never even really like mention that. I think one character one like NPC in Cosmo Canyon mentions that like, oh yeah, he's the last of his race, and they just like never bring that up.
I think I must have talked to that person because maybe there's a chance it might have been Bugenhagen who said it.
Yeah. Yes, I think that's who it is.
So I love
his story quest. Every time that they reveal like the nature of his father, that he grew up his whole life thinking he was a coward, and then he finds out what his actual fate was.
Yeah.
That whole scene gets me every time, and it probably wouldn't hit half as hard if they weren't all dogs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Come on.
I thought it was really cool.
Like when a person dies in a movie, like who cares? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say that like that once Bugenhagen's like, oh, you thought that's what your dad was like? I was like, okay, so we're gonna get a backstory and he's gonna be all badass and shit. So I was already expecting it because I know what a line like that means. But it doesn't mean it wasn't still really cool to find out. It just wasn't like right. Like I don't know. I have trouble getting emotional over things, especially when I'm streaming. Like when I'm live, I would tend to get more emotional off stream. I don't know. It just depends.
No, I'm totally the same way. I think it just comes with being watched by people. It's a natural human thing to reserve your reactions a little bit.
Exactly. And I'm also like distracted by stuff. So, but I mean, at least like I could still definitely appreciate certain moments. So Red was really cool. Okay, so I'm trying to work like backwards actually. So Ketchy, you know why he was my least favorite, but at least he's slightly more interesting now that I've played through the end, so it was Reeve. Yuffie, so her redeemable qualities are that she's energetic, Everybody thinks she's the cutest thing on the planet. And I'm like, physically, she's cute, but she's also really annoying.
Yeah, she's the worst.
Yeah. I found her purely by RNG. I had no idea how to get her, and I stumbled across her in the forest, and I'm like, that's Yuffie.
Nice, yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to try to fight her then and see if I can get her in my party. And it took me 4 tries. And on the 3rd try, I asked, what's your name? I didn't realize that was the wrong one. Because I'm like, I got her name. That means she's added. And then she runs, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm not coming back. And I went on for another minute, and chat's like, no, wait, go get Yuffie. And I'm like, oh, fine.
I wish that they had given you any hint towards what you're supposed to do, but like the strategy guide I had growing up, it was it gave you hints to solve it yourself, and I really liked the hints they gave. They were like, never take your eyes off of her, so that includes using the save point or. That's
the first thing I did.
Yeah. Don't use the save point. Don't bring up your menu. Or actually, I think you can bring up her menu, but you can't name her.
Oh.
Maybe you. I can't remember about the menu. That's a maybe. But
yeah, you've been good at battle.
They gave a couple of tips about like how to carry yourself in the conversation as well, like to help you determine which were the correct answers. But it's a very silly, stupid mini game.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish that they had given you more in-game context clues so that it made a little bit more sense and you wouldn't have to fight her like 5 times.
It's okay. Yeah. I got her in my party and then I regretted it later. It's fine. But I did get Leviathan, who I used a couple of times, and that's fine.
I was gonna ask if you did her whole side quest.
I did. So I try to like complete as much of an area as I can whenever I get somewhere. Mm-hmm. So when I got to I went to the Wutai area. That's apparently optional.
Yeah.
I didn't know because I was like, maybe this is where Sephi went. I thought it was in this direction, and I was wrong. So then Yuffie comes out. And then as soon as I was like in battle and I'm like, wait a minute, why can't I use my materia? And I left battle and I'm like, she took it. I was like,
yeah, that's why everybody hates you.
Stole it. It's look, here's the thing. She's been traveling with your party for a little while, so she should see that A, you guys are strong, and B, like you would hope that maybe she would attach to you a little bit. So even though she's immature, she could have been like, hey, I was going to do this, but I realized that maybe you guys can actually help my town instead of me be a total dick to the whole party. But no, she decides to be a total dick to the whole party and then strip me of a lot of my combat fighting style. You know, it's like the way that she crippled my group was another thing that's almost unforgivable for me. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, you're supposed to be in my party and then you cripple my entire group for a while.
Because you feel so weak at that point, and that's definitely fair criticism. An RPG is kind of about feeling stronger and stronger, and the amount that they cripple you is pretty severe considering how you are on materia.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like story-wise, it's kind of interesting, and like it's a little different, so that's cool. But like, god damn it, it was so annoying.
It's a frustrating section. Yeah, yes. You have to be like you have to have a pretty good like physical attacking team in order to get through.
I mean, I had Cloud Tifa Red, so I was doing all right. But, like, I had to use so many more items than I ever thought I would.
So, fun fact, Tifa is actually the hardest hitting character in the game, hands down.
Yeah, she's great. I love her.
In a certain sense. I think she has the highest base strength, except for maybe Cloud. But she has 2 weapons in the game that power up when she has certain status effects on her.
Oh, really?
So speedrunners use this trick where you put the power soul on Tifa, and that powers up in 2 instances. When she has death sentence on her, so she has the number counting above her head, and when she's in yellow health. So in every fight, you basically beforehand, you kill Tifa, then revive her with a Phoenix down so she has like a sliver of health left, and then cast death sentence on her, and she hits for like a truck early in the game. She hit 9,999 so early.
Holy crap, that's so cool.
It makes her deal like quadruple damage.
I didn't realize that. I haven't wanted to watch any in-depth Final Fantasy, runs before because I didn't want anything spoiled. So that's really cool. Yeah. I didn't realize that she did that.
It's a really fun run to watch, in my opinion.
That's cool. Oh, Cursed Ring. That's what Cursed Ring does. Because I got the Cursed Ring, but I was like, I don't want to use this because I'm scared of what it's going to do. So I never used it.
Yeah, and I tend to avoid the cursed items in most RPGs. Usually the downside isn't worth it, or you have to like grind it a ridiculous amount.
But if you put it on Tifa, that's so smart. That's cool.
Yeah, so Cursed Ring, its downside is the death sentence, but it also gives you a bunch of stat boosts in return, so it makes her hit even harder.
Yeah, I got you. Look, Materia was so useful to me that I didn't care what status effects it did, except for the fact that summons heavily reduce your HP, which I noticed pretty late in the game. So I was like, oh, maybe I should take off 1 or 2 of Cloud, because he's got the lowest HP right now, and I feel like that shouldn't be the case. Lower than Tifa's, and I was like,
in recent playthroughs, I always dedicate a caster, and that person always has about half the HP of every other character.
Wow.
The penalties are pretty severe.
Everybody cast in my... I had everybody was evened out. Everybody was totally evened out so that they could all do something at all times. And it was useful to me. It worked for me.
You make everyone a jack of all trades.
I got 3 game overs, and one of them was because chat was like, I was underwater in the submarine, and they're like, I was like, what's that big green monster? And they're like, go poke it, you'll be fine. And I'm like, I hate you guys.
Welcome to Final Fantasy VII. It's like everybody has a moment where they run into the weapons, and I remember being underwater being the most stressful place in the world when I was a kid, because like every time you were below the surface, you were like, when did I last save? Where's Emerald? Where's Emerald? And you would always feel like he was right behind you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, he just swims around in a circle and then stops in a little crater, and then he swims around in a circle again. So if you just go around the edge, you always miss it. You don't hit him. Yeah, no, that is true. But if you're tracing the outside, and especially as like a dumb kid who doesn't know how to like read a map properly, you're like, if you're tracing all of the perimeter, there are a couple of points that it intersects with his path. So if you just, you'll eventually like have a chance of tapping it. No, I never hit that.
Like when you were a kid, this was one of the biggest games that was out there.
Underwater's always the worst.
Kind of explore like every corner of it.
Right, that's what I was doing. Wait, there was one area I never got into, and I'm still mad I never got in there. There's a cave that you can't plane to, you can't submarine to, and you can't airship to. So how the fuck do you get in there? That is part of the Chocobo minigame. If you breed Chocobos, you can breed Chocobos that have, once you have a highway. Yeah, if you land back at the Chocobo farm, you can buy Chocobo stables, and then they kind of give you. And then there's this one little dude who lives in a hut that's kind of hard to find on the northern continent called the Chocobo Sage, who gives you a lot of in-game hints to, what is that? Is that on? What was that? It was what? I just heard like an engine roaring. Oh, that's outside. My mic picks up a lot, apparently. Oh, okay. Okay. Just making sure. I'm good. I was like, sorry. Is there like a pop-up ad advertising me cars? He'll spawn right in front of you sometimes? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh. Yeah, he can. I don't know. Yeah, he can. Emerald's scary. Cloud, my Cloud was like a sage by the end. Yeah, pretty much. I used constant summons with Cloud. Yeah. With everybody. Yeah. Summons are really strong in the game, too. You know what else is really strong? Regen is a little broken. Yes. I loved that. So at the end, in my last couple battles, I would go, Tifa, wall. Like, Tifa, wall, everybody. Cloud, regen, everybody. And then I'd be like, just start using summons and shit and attack with red. And then everybody would attack after that. And then I was, like, almost indestructible. Almost. Yep. Ella, thank you so much for your mods. You're awesome. So so summons and regen work together really well because it regenerates your HP through any cast animation, and summons are so long. You know, it's so there's a lot of OP combinations in the game. So good. Hey Darren, how's it going today, man? Oh man. Okay, we're getting off. We were talking about characters and then we got into one other thing. Oh, Yuffie. Yeah. Yeah. Did you have any more on Yuffie? Yeah, I did actually. I never learned Big Guard. No, I didn't. Say your ears can say thank you to that. It's like one of the first things I always get once it's available. It's the most OP skill. It's an enemy skill. You have to have manipulate to have the enemy cast it on you, because otherwise you'll never learn it and they'll never cast it on you. Oh, okay. It's like 64 MP, which is really expensive for the time you can get it, but it casts barrier, M barrier, and haste on your entire party. It's incredible. I never found, is there a haste materia lying somewhere? I think you have to buy it somewhere. I think you have to buy a time materia in one of the shops. Oh, there's a time materia? Oh. Yeah. Oh, you're right. I never bought it. I'm so dumb. That's why I use Lunatic High so often. So I never got Red's up to his 4th limit, because I had Cosmo, whatever the Cosmo one. His limit break sucks anyway. Yeah, okay. Well, I had it, but I could never teach it to him because I always just use Lunatic High, because I was like, oh, up defense and haste, so now I'm good. I'll just use. Now there is a downside to using Big Guard though. Okay. And it's not
That was the barrier and haste spell.
Oh, with haste. Okay, and what's the downside? Cosmo memory. That's it. Okay.
The downside is that it makes the most horrible sound that you have ever heard every time it's cast. It's got, for some reason, there's a few select sounds in the game that are just like a jackhammer into the ears. And
like what?
I don't know if you ran into any of them. A lot of them are just like summon spells. I'm trying to think of the other ones.
Okay.
Big Guard is the main offender that everybody knows.
Yeah, I did still take out Steffi. I was good without Big Guard. It's all okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not required. Definitely just very, very, very OP.
Oh, yeah.
But every time you cast it, it makes this really loud screeching sound for some reason. I don't know. Everybody who's played the game or who has used the spell knows what I'm talking about.
Weird.
It hurts. I'm trying to think, what else is there? One of the bosses makes a really annoying sound that I can't remember which it is.
Okay.
There's also Ultima. The spell Ultima.
I never got Ultima either.
Did you let the train crash into North Coral?
Yeah, because the controls are stupid. That's one of my biggest complaints of the game. That was so dumb. You know what the controls say? And it's probably in the translation or something, but it was like, oh, here are the 4 buttons. Do them opposite. So I was like, okay, opposite. And I'm like, nothing's happening. And then when I tried to press them together, like red goes, the train's speeding up. So I was like, clearly that's wrong too. So maybe that must have been just really bad timing overlapped.
No, it's worse than that. And that's like really, really like poorly done part of the game. You are supposed to do them both at the same time, alternating. They're saying you have to alternate doing up, up, and down, down. Even though it sounds like you should be doing down, up, down, up.
I was so mad.
And on top of that, when the train starts speeding up, you're doing the right thing. You have to keep speeding up the train, and it eventually stops. It's supposed to be mounting that like, oh no, it's going faster. It's going faster. Sid's never going to stop it in time. And then if you keep doing it, he's eventually like, shit. And he like hits something. And then you see the train stop like right outside the town at the last possible second.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb. But yeah, if you let that happen, then yeah, you lose access to the Ultima materia and no one will sell it to you.
Yeah.
Or I forget. No, I think that you still can get it, but you have to talk to some little kid. If you save the town, the kid gives you the Ultima materia. I think if you let it crash, you have to talk to the kid and buy it for like 50,000 gil.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, okay.
It's something stupid.
The parade we have to march with Cloud. Yeah, I didn't get that. Like I had to try that like 3 times, and then it got a little better. Yeah.
That's right.
Whiteside, please. Can we get some
right.
pleases in the chat right now for Whiteside? Okay. Oh my god. Okay, so I didn't get that. There's like so much. I was gonna say I was trying to backtrack a little bit because I wanted to finish up the characters and the game overs because we were talking about those, and then we should talk about materia.
I think I game overed more than you did.
I game overed. I got 3 official game overs. One was because I was told to go poke Emerald Weapon, and then after that I was like, fair. I hate you, chat. And they're like, we didn't say you'd be fine. I'm like, somebody did say I could do it. And I was like, I hate you guys. And it was right after I survived the underwater plane. I didn't die at all in that. I was fine. No problem.
Oh, really? I died in that like 3 times.
No, I didn't die. They're like, you got so lucky because I beat the Turks no problem. And then I like fought a couple of hard enemies, and they're like, you got less encounters than usual. They're like,
Hey, you lucked out. One of them in particular is really dangerous.
It was like the really big one.
It's the one that I think it's the one that looks like a tongue. The one with the giant tongue is particularly dangerous.
Did I fight that one, guys?
Or no. It's the one with it's the one that kind of looks like a flower and has a tentacle coming out of its eyeball.
I think that's and it's like very large.
There are actually pretty much everything in there is very large. Although probably the really, really big one is the big snake thing. Right? It was like a big blue and green, like it looked like it was swimming underwater. But
yeah,
it was
I think I fought that. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's not particularly dangerous. That one's probably the easiest one in there.
Yeah, who pokes Emerald Weapon and expects to survive? I was completely blind to it, Chris. Oh my god, I was so blind to it. I had no idea. I didn't know what it was. I just did not know at all. Like that's part of the thing about playing this blind. You go into every area like, I don't know what's gonna happen here. You know?
Yeah.
So
hey, Enable, how's it going?
So that was one of my game overs. Right. The second one was really early on to something random, and I was like, oh, bummer. But at least it was. I got a game over, so I wasn't like expecting to survive the whole time. And then the third one I got. Here's the last bit of the game that I played. So I beat the game on Wednesday night. Tuesday night, the night before,
Mm-hmm.
I got off the Highwind and I went into North Crater, and I was like, oh, you get a save crystal. I was like, okay, so I'll put it down, and I put it down in like the first room. Because I had no idea how big the area was.
Yep.
I had no idea. I was like, because it was so bright down below, I was like, it looks like you just jump down below and fight the boss. So that's kind of what I assumed. I didn't know.
Yeah. Forgivable, yeah. Honestly, right? You have to go really far. Northern Crater is huge.
It's really big. It looked like it was just like an end area. You jump into the light and then you're good to go. I didn't realize like you go down and down and down and down, and then you have a boss rush, and then you have another like a mini boss rush, and then you have like them final bosses. I didn't know, but I survived everything. I was fine. I like even had Mega all equipped, and I like went in and I was like, Genova, no problem. And then I go into Sephi and I'm like, Sephi phase 1, get out of here. And then he used Supernova in the second phase, and that animation takes like 5 minutes. It's so annoying. And then, really but the first time I saw it, it was like really like I was like, wow, that's huge. And I'm like, oh crap, what's I gonna do? And then he killed me before I could heal. And I was rough. Like, I'm gonna end the stream. And we'll try again tomorrow. So I saved that save crystal. So that was my other game over, and that's it. That's all I got in the game. So I was pretty proud of myself for that.
If you misplace the save crystal, it's going to be a rough time. And not knowing what Safer Sephiroth has in store for you, he hits pretty hard. He's a little weird. And if you're not guarded against status effects, did you happen to find the second ribbon?
No, I only got one ribbon.
Then the ribbon's like obviously the best accessory in the game.
Ribbon's always the best. Yeah, a ribbon is
in every Final Fantasy.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
Tonberry. Oh god.
The second one's actually really well hidden. There's just like a secret wall that looks like you can't run any further, and then you run further, and it's in Gaia's Cliff, and you can't even get back to it if you skip it. You can never go back to Gaia's Cliff after, which is the snowy area with the two-headed dragon as the boss.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. Okay. Nope. Had no idea. No idea.
There's a ribbon hidden there.
Damn. And
if you want a third one, you have to morph a Tonberry, which is really hard.
Okay, so I forgot what Tonberries were. Ran into one North Crater, and I successfully defeated one, and then I was like, never again. I was like, never again. So every time I saw one, I'd be like, run! And I would just hold down the run buttons, and I'm like, please don't cast death. I just want to get out of here. Just let me go.
Yeah, everybody's grudge. If you grind it a lot, so the way everybody's grudge works is it hits a character.
Deals
for 10 damage
based on how many enemies the character has killed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
What you just said.
So if you've grinded a lot, that thing hits like a truck and will just instantly one-shot everything. Did you happen to do Battle Square at all? Because Tonberries are there too, and they ended many of my Battle Square attempts.
In Gold Saucer or what?
Yes, yeah. So did
only the first one. I don't really care about. I don't know. I just didn't really care about that kind of thing. I was like, I'll do it next playthrough maybe when I know more.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's how you get Cloud's ultimate limit break. So I always take a moment. Yeah.
Oh, right. I think somebody mentioned that once I finished it.
Yeah, it's on his prize list, or it's on the prize list when you check it. It's also one of the sources of the best materia in the game. W summon, which lets you cast 2 summons in one turn.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Holy crap.
That's super OP with a couple of combos that you can. There's a lot of like really super powerful materia combos.
Yeah.
So Battle Square is like, Battle Square is fun to me personally because it's one person versus a horde of God knows what, and a bunch of status effects are coming at you.
God, they're so terrible. They're like, oh, let's take you down 5 levels, and then 10 levels, and then we'll cut your attack, and then we're gonna. And I'm like, there's nothing. I got like one beneficial thing the one time I had to do it.
So there is a way. Every slot reel only has 3 outcomes, and there's a way to manipulate it so you always get a desirable one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you hold square, it hides your menu. If you hide the slot reels, and this also works for Kate, Sith, and Tifa's limit breaks, if you hold square while the slots are spinning, the wheel actually pauses as long as it's not on your screen.
And then you can like hit X, right? If it's on the right one. You basically
tap it and it moves in slow motion, and then you can you learn the timing for just hitting circle for getting the next.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's OP.
That's cool. And that allows, there's all this stuff I don't know.
Yeah, that makes Battle Arena way easier, and cool. You get to build your character specifically for it, and like, okay, here's the stuff that you'll need when you don't have anyone else to bail you out when something bad happens.
Right.
So it's fun like that, but one of the rounds can be a Tonberry, and it just becomes a DPS race versus its RNG. Because Tonberry, the way Tonberry works is when it starts, it's far away from you, and its turns are either going to be everybody's grudge or a move. But when it moves, it can either move left, right, or forward. And there was just a couple of rounds, like 3 times in a row it happened to me, where it rolled move forward, move forward, move forward, and then stab and instant death. Because that's the way, if they hit you with their knife, it's an instant kill.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
If they spend the whole fight just wandering away from you, then and nothing will ever happen to you. If they decide to walk up to your character, they get stabbed and die.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that ended a lot of my battle arena attempts.
Woo!
That was one of the things that was able to kill me.
I'm glad I know all this stuff now, because like eventually, like I'll totally want to replay this and
Good.
Yeah. So like I liked the game enough. I thought it was interesting and cool. The music was good, and it's something I'll want to replay. Like, so it's all that, and like regardless of any criticism I have, and just learning to work around things that I didn't like as much.
So tell me about some other characters. We talked that Tifa was definitely your preference, but what did you think of Aerith overall as a character? Even though she gets kind of abused by Cloud, if you don't prefer her.
She gets physically abused by Cloud at one point.
That's not really his fault, though.
Yeah, but he still beats the shit out of her, and then she's like, all right, peace out. I'm going to go away and do my own thing.
She seemed like weirdly okay with it, too.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, yo, Whiteside, welcome back to the Fruit Basket. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I hope you like the new face emotes. Okay. So, Aerith, I usually like characters who are sassy and kind of go after what they want, but I didn't like that about Aerith. I don't know. There was something that immediately turned me off from her. I don't know. Okay. Maybe it's because I had already met Tifa, and then it was already too late for me or something. But like when I met her, you immediately
get that like the new animal in the pack kind of like,
No, I mean, I guess, but and we may have talked about this last time, but it was just when Aerith was like, I need a bodyguard. You be my bodyguard and I'll give you a date. And then Cloud's like, all right. Yeah. And then later she's like, oh, I'm not really scared of walking around the slums. So I'm like, okay, you don't need a bodyguard. You're just like trying to hit on Cloud. And I'm like, I don't know. Basically, it's like if she's trying to be like the character who's like pure in a way, but she's not. Like I like that she's not completely pure because that's like overdone. But I don't know. I don't know about her. It's just like she gives off the impression that she's trying to act pure, but she's not, and I don't like that. Like, she's trying to be like, I'm doing all this good stuff to, like, help you out, or like, look, oh my god, I'm so excited about everything for the first time, and yet, like, I'm very manipulative, and I want Cloud. And, like, I don't know. She is a little
manipulative. Yeah, she's supposed to be, sort of spunky and having sort of like a childish energy to her.
Right, but Yuffie has a childish energy to her because she's a child. And like, the weird thing about when I talk about some of her character traits, I'm like that. Like, I try to be sassy, or like, I just go after what I want, or like, I act like a child. It's like, why do I not like her as much? I don't know. I just think that the way she came across just wasn't very appealing to me.
I think good fiction often puts in front of you characters that you can relate to that you end up not liking. Sometimes because you relate to them a little too much, sometimes because you relate to them enough that you understand the feeling, but they're not, you're not alike enough to act the same, and that gets frustrating, right?
Yeah, maybe that was it. I don't know. Tifa imprinted on me. Isn't that how that works? You also chased Aerith away as soon as you met her outside the reactor. Oh, did I? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, Aerith kind of takes a similar interest to the interest that Tifa has. Less so, obviously, less so in this direction because they don't have that previous connection. But Aerith definitely also understands that there's something up with Cloud because,
which I think is why she's more understanding when he gets all weird, and that's cool. It's good for her.
Yeah. Definitely. And she knows there's something up with him. And as Andy noted in my chat, when you take Aerith out on a date with you, when she's the one that you end up on a date with,
she treats you like Zach.
Well, no, she insists to Cloud that she wants to meet him. And he says, what are you talking about? I'm right here. And she says, no, I want to meet the real you. She knows that he's hiding something, even though he doesn't. And you have to realize that that's got to be interesting for her because I don't know if you ended up talking to his parents in Gongaga, but you can kind of put things together. Zach and Aerith actually dated.
Yeah.
And that's
Chat told me later, and I didn't realize that at first.
Yeah.
I did talk to his parents, but now I get it. Yeah.
Right, that helps you put it together. The other part is Aerith.
Why she may have been interested in Cloud at first, because he looks so similar and probably acted similar and stuff.
And he has the same mannerisms, and she says that.
And the weapon, he's got his weapon too.
And the weapon, yeah, you would think that would have been a bit. Maybe she thought that was standard issue in Soldier. It wasn't, but so that's kind of an interesting reason for her to be drawn to him in the first place. Is like he just reminded her so much of Zach.
Right. And now I think knowing that it's another fact that I learned like at the end of the game where I'm like, maybe it'll make this a bit more interesting next time I see Aerith interact with him when I play through it again. Like I'll probably like her a little bit more. I'll probably never love her like I love Tifa. Ever.
No, and that's fair. I honestly think Tifa's the better written character.
Tifa's heavily imprinted on me, so I don't think that will ever change. But yeah, I could definitely see myself opening up a bit more.
I think it's interesting that she's drawn to him because of his similarities to Zach, but then she is also able to identify that he just seems to be putting on that facade. You know, he seems to be acting like her boyfriend and the things that she liked about him, but that's not really him, you know?
So at the very least, she's probably just very curious about why he's like this and who he really is, which is why she probably asked that, you know, it makes sense. It makes sense.
And I think the last time we met up, we talked about Barrett and kind of how you felt about Barrett.
Barrett's all right.
Barrett, in my opinion, falls apart a little bit towards the end. I think they could have done a lot more with his character, but he seems to later in the game just sort of get frustrated and stop trying to make sense of things.
Well, I mean, that honestly really makes sense to me for his character. Because
it does,
it's so different than his original motivations that he's like, yo, I came in to save the planet. What is this? Like, what's happening? Like, that's how I would be if I was him. If I'm like, let's go save the planet. I'm a leader. And they're like, you're not a leader. And we have to do it in a completely different way. He'd be like, okay, I don't really know what to do anymore. So I'm just going to help out.
Right, exactly. That's exactly who Barrett is, and that is exactly his purpose in the story. Is he thinks he has everything figured out, and he has a very strong direction he takes that in. You know, he's like, all right, this is what we got to do, and he takes off for it without a moment's notice. He forms his group. He starts bombing reactors. He takes action, but then he very quickly realizes, wait, there's a lot more to this, and this is maybe not the way. And on top of that, you start to see the regret come out later on when Kate Sith confronts him about the people whose lives he ended in doing so.
Right,
you know, exactly. It also really adds weight to that.
That makes more sense to me now, hearing like Kate Sith being, you know, Ketchy being like, Reeve, you just like, he's like, yo, don't you care about this? Because apparently that's like the one thing that Reeve cared about the most. So I was thinking, like, that's actually kind of interesting.
And you see him still keep his motivation the same, right?
Yeah.
From the beginning, it's all about Marlene. Yeah. And it's all about making a better world for her.
I just like hearing him like admit that. And I'm like, that's cool. It's like, it's strong of you. And I think that, like, I like how Cloud talks to everybody and he's like, actually know what you're fighting for. He's like, I'm fighting to save the planet, but I'm also fighting because of Aerith and because I hate Sephiroth. And I'm like, that's cool.
Right, exactly. He's able to admit that he has a selfish reason for being here. He doesn't fault anybody for, you know, maybe not sticking around and doing the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though everybody does.
I liked that moment. But yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say about Aerith is that I probably didn't bond with her more. Like and this is similar to Barrett. Like anybody I didn't have in my party, because I almost always had Cloud, Tifa, Red when I could. So, like, I didn't get a lot of this side dialogue with Aerith or Barrett or most others because I didn't want them in my party. Like, so I feel like there was a lot of opportunity lost in, like, trying to bond with Aerith or, like, maybe sympathize with her a little bit more because I was like, I don't want you in my party.
Right. Yeah. No, that's understandable. If I can give a tip, don't ever bring Vincent because he never adds anything interesting.
He's the worst. He's my third least liked character.
You know what? If you really made me pick a second, it would be really hard for me to decide on a second. But I think my second least favorite character is going to be Vincent.
Okay.
I think as much as I really like his character design and sort of the attitude they brought to him later, he's one of in Advent Children, for example, he's one of the few characters I think they did better in later iterations. Even though he had his own game on PS2 and it was
he's just kind of boring to me.
Exactly. he's too. Sorry, you know what?
He's very emo, boring one note. We should finish Barrett first, right?
I'm sorry. I thought you were done on Barrett.
Oh yeah. No, I mean I didn't have much more to say. Just like he's cool.
Yeah, Barrett is.
I was done.
I do like Barrett's sort of dynamicness as a character, where he sort of learns the error of his brashness, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I do like that about him. So that's why he's cool. He's all good. If I didn't have people I liked more, I'd put him in my party. That's fine.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I finished the game last week, shorties.
Vincent is the worst because Dirge's Cerberus exists. Poor Vincent.
Okay, so when I got Vincent, here was my first experience with Vincent, and this is why he's my third least favorite. So I was like, oh, look at his limit. This looks cool. He turns into a beast. I'm like, that's cool. But then I did it during the
Materia Keeper.
Yeah.
The big blue spider.
I think so. Whatever it is, when he uses Beast Flare, it
Heals
heals
the shit out of
him.
him.
And I was like, fuck you! No! So it made that battle so much harder. And then I fought a dragon after that. And then he started using Base Flare and that. And I'm like, I hate you. And I just go, out of my party. Get out. Get out. I don't want you in my party ever again. Get out.
They set up Vincent in the worst possible way.
Yeah,
and
I think it's just
every sense.
It's just really bad timing for Vincent. If they wanted him to be a better character and more useful, like that was the worst way to do it. Like Brian was bringing that up in my chat when I was going through this. He was like, yeah, I think Vincent would be better off. Like, I think it's part of the writing and when they introduced him, because like that's so unfortunate for him, because he probably could have been better, but he just comes in at a time where he just heals all the goddamn bosses.
He's so worthless. And first off, his limit break sucks. His limit break is just really bad. You lose control of him. Every form might have better stats, but it has only 2 attacks that it uses, and you don't get to choose which it is.
Yeah, it's really bad.
And on top of that, his third limit break is a status effect inflictor, which does nothing to any boss in the game. So it's generally, he's a bad character. He's poorly designed from a gameplay standpoint. When you first meet him, he's hanging out in a freaking coffin like a Hot Topic kid.
Leave me alone. I'm like, no, but I want you in my party. How do I make you join my party? And I was like, all right, fuck you. I'm just going to leave. And then he's like, okay, I'll join you. And I'm like, okay.
He's also a character that I have a very hard time justifying to anyone, because I can't really find motivations for why he would end up sleeping in a coffin when his own, like, he tried, if you watch his flashbacks.
Yeah, I did.
Tried to stop Hojo from injecting Lucrezia's baby with Genova cells.
Yeah.
Hojo then just shot him in response.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like he did the most he could.
Yeah.
I really do. I feel like
he's just a person suffering from a ton of guilt, and he's also really emo about it, and then it causes him to be one note, because you never see any character growth with him. That's the thing. The most you get from him is like at the end of the game, he's like, I guess you guys are okay. And I'm like, okay. Like, it's fine. Like, and again, it's even when I talk about this, it's totally cool if you guys like Vincent. That's all you, man. Like, go for it. These are the reasons why I'm like, he's just kind of there.
Yeah, exactly. He in his dialogue throughout the game, I had him in my party for a lot of the game just because people wanted him in there, and I actually chose him just literally for his magic stat. I
never put people in my
the highest magic stat right now. I need a dedicated caster.
Oh, okay.
This run, I tried to play a little bit more with characters that I think are underpowered and characters that I don't often play with. And Vincent definitely fits that description.
Oh, okay, for a caster.
So yeah, exactly. It was just to mix things up a little bit.
Okay.
So he's already a lot of the game, and I just thought he would maybe add something. Like, he has such a close personal connection to the happenings with Sephiroth. You'd think he'd have a little bit more than stunned silence, like, every time
and he's
something happens. Barely. He says a handful of things, but like, one of the things that really pisses me off is if you take him to the Hojo fight, he really says nothing.
Really?
And the whole time, yeah, like
that's where he should talk the most.
Exactly.
He should go fuck you and then shoot him right back in the stomach because he's got a gun.
This is the dude that turned you into the monster that you are. This is the dude that ended your fucking life, and this is the dude that ruined the woman you love. You don't have anything to say to him now?
I had no idea. I had no idea. That's silly. Okay.
He might say something along the lines of like, Hojo, this ends now, but like, it is so lame. It is so lame.
Yeah, that's where you would want to like actually hear more from him because like again, so the thing is when you go for his like backstory thing in the waterfall, it's not even about him. It's like barely about him. It's all about Lucretia or Lucrezia, however you say it.
Right.
It's about her. It's not about him. So you still like barely learn anything about him. You just get like no information on this guy. It's like even in Chrono Trigger when you've played it
a long time ago. I'll see if I can remember.
Do you remember the characters in that? Like
most of them. I
characters.
remember Frog.
Do you remember? Okay.
And the girl and the robot.
Okay, well then maybe I won't say anything. Okay, I was gonna relate him to another character, but then say the other character has a much more interesting backstory.
What's the character's name?
Do you know Magus?
I don't remember him.
Okay, we'll see. Okay, I just won't say anything else.
Okay.
I don't want to say anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, like, Vincent, you just learn so little about him. Like, he tells you a brief story, and then you see flashbacks that are almost not even related to him in a way. Like, or just not enough to really, I don't know, I just don't sympathize with him, and then he doesn't give me anything to work with.
Exactly.
I'm like, you can't mope around and expect me to, like, feel bad for you after a while, because I'm like, you're just doing nothing about it. You're not even talking to me. And the
worst part, the ultimate worst part is that Vincent was actually really popular. People loved his broodiness and his quietness and the air of mystery around him.
People still love him, and that's fine. Like if you like that about a character, that's fine. That's all you. It's just I don't find that very interesting.
Right, and the problem is that they then kind of took that to the next level because if you play Final Fantasy VIII, he basically is Vincent. You get more of a look into his head for sure, but like he's the same like broody dark character.
Okay.
It's like what a foothold that took in Japanese media, like how broody everyone is in freaking JRPGs. That kind of started with this game, and it's kind of Vincent's fault. And he's like, in my opinion, the worst written character in the game.
Okay.
Like it's a little embarrassing.
I was, Andy. I looked away for like 2 seconds. If there was the 2 seconds that I missed that showed all of Vincent's backstory, then clearly that was not well written either way. Because I was watching, like I would peer back and forth, but like I could tell what was going on the whole time. It's not like I was just not looking at it at all.
It sounds like you got most of it.
Yeah, I did. I saw his interactions with people, but it was just like that's not what that flashback seemed to be leaning toward or like about. Also, Prodigy, thank you so much for 11 months. I really appreciate it. Dude, we're almost at a year.
How's it going, Isaac? Ultra sulky powers, exactly. He's got the ultra sulky.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just how I don't know. So like
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, I used Vincent when Sid was elected leader, and then I had to have another party that did not include Cloud or Tifa. I had like Sid, Vincent, and Red. They were okay.
By two of your main characters, yeah.
Yeah. Sid was cool. He's such a dick to what's her face.
To Shara,
yeah. He's such a dick, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, make some more fucking tea for these people. Yeah.
It's like I read this article that was like some dorkly stupid thing, and it was like 5 things you forgot about Final Fantasy VII that were like way darker. One of them is that like Sid is an abusive asshole. Like this woman feels so indebted to him that she puts up with this.
Yeah.
But she has to live with him. Like they're not even romantically involved. She has to live with him and suffer this abuse.
Tifa's like, why would you treat your wife that way? And he's like, my wife? Like, why would you ever think that? And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like,
fun fact: in the interim, they get married.
Oh, really?
After the game, they get married. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he you can tell that he feels bad. He's like, fuck, that thing actually was not working. I'm the worst. And I'm like, yeah, you're kind of the worst for that. But it's just the way that they establish him. It's like, it's not okay that he treats another person like that. But in terms of his personality, it gives him that kind of like weird interest, like very immediate flaw. So the rest of him kind of is like, oh, you're cool outside of that.
Right, because once he starts acting, Sid is a great example of setting up someone to be just such a piece of shit, but doing it in the right way where you kind of like him anyway because he is funny.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you just kind of end up liking him regardless, and you're like, interesting. And it's like
once he does good things and shows his good side, because he really does have that sort of heart of gold, right? Like
yeah. So like with his personality, so I kind of want to relate it to Yuffie in a way that like they're both kind of like he's so much older, like he's one of the older people in the group, right?
He's the oldest at like 35. He's ancient because he's in his 30s.
But at the same time, it's like he's almost as immature as Yuffie sometimes. but in like a much more endearing way. It's because you just see like these huge, big dreams, but he's not like, the worst he gets about it is like, yo, I want to fly this rocket no matter what. But then he's like, but it's okay because fuck Shinra, we'll do what we want, guys. So I'm not like backstabbing you. I'm just like, I want to do this thing. Instead of Yuffie, who's like, I'm gonna fuck over the whole party and take your materia.
I don't like the Shinra, but you guys aren't really helping either. So I'm gonna take all your materia. Yeah, no, Sid is much more like, he has his dream kind of take over his brain for a moment. You know, he's just kind of, he's like, when you get into the rocket, it's like about to blast off, and they're like, all right, we got to stop the Shinra. He's like, shut the fuck up, we're going to space.
I didn't know. I was like, oh, I guess we're going, but I was like, that's cool. I don't know. I was just like, that's all right, Sid.
Yeah, you can understand it, and then, but then it also helps him have that personal revelation where the planet is something that needs protecting, and that it's something that he can protect.
Okay, okay, Andy, you're not wrong. Okay, Yuffie's motion sickness is a little bit endearing, and then Cloud actually opens up to her if you talk to her on the when she's having motion sickness. He like opens up and like talks about a little of his past and. You know, around like in Soldier, which is not really in Soldier, but
and notice that they wrote Cloud's motion sickness out of the game. They have a couple of moments where in the beginning of the game he says he's never had motion sickness. After he realizes himself, he actually starts getting motion sick again.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. But yeah, no, so he totally like helps to coach Yuffie through it a little bit, which was, I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. But, I always love that.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just Sid's like vibrancy is really kind of endearing in a way. Like even when he's being a dick, you're like, he's so passionate. You're
exactly.
Like,
he's cool. He's a lovable dick.
Yeah, he's a lovable dick for sure. Okay, so yeah, that's why I was like, he's gonna be the. Oh, you know my favorite part about Sid? Okay, my favorite part, besides the fact that whenever I read his character, I had a southern accent with like a fucking toothpick in my mouth because it was really fun to do.
Southern for Sid.
I did. Because I heard that he's usually like that. But my favorite thing about him is when they elect him leader, and then when you are running out on the field, do you remember how he runs?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. His goofy ass run. Yeah.
I was gonna
he leans like way far back. And I
was just gonna go. I can't really do it because I have headphones on. But he's like, it's so funny.
With his legs all flailing out and stuff. Yeah.
I loved it. So I would just run back and forth as Sid and just giggle to myself. It's so funny. That's my favorite part about Sid.
I would do the same when I was a kid. That's the kind of stuff I forget. Yeah. Like I know, I take it for granted.
So I got really hyped when I could play as Tifa in the field, and so it bummed me out when I was first Sid instead of Tifa. I'm like, no, I can't be Tifa anymore. But then I'm like, look at Sid's run. It's so good.
That is good. That's good.
So funny.
It's one of my favorite things about him. It really is kind of a goofball, despite what an asshole he is.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Because, oh my God, okay, I think the part I was most annoyed about him with, aside from the train, was when you're fucking trying to get whatever the most powerful Bahamut materia is out of the spaceship. And he's like, oh, I can't remember this code. I still can't remember it. Try another one. I can't remember it. And I'm like, I hate you. I tried it twice and never got it. And I was just upset for like 15 minutes.
I still just like remember what it is because it's the same in every playthrough. I think it's circle square XX.
Yeah.
So I always just tap it right in.
Yep.
But yeah, you have to play that stupid like password game where he's like, well, you got 2 of the numbers right, but
yeah, I tried writing it down and stuff. Like I have like some notes here that I like wrote down. Oh, you can't really see. It's
a game that'll make you do that.
Yeah, it looks like tic-tac-toe on this piece of paper. But yeah, I tried doing that and it just didn't work. So like I was like, that's when he was the most annoying to me in the entire game. So I'm like, you can't remember anything.
No, of course not.
It's so funny.
It's a stressful part, and a lot of those mini games later on are just like, especially all the big materia mini games are really, really difficult in their own way. I think.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Did you get the submarine one?
Yeah.
That one I think is pretty easy.
Yeah, because I told you I went in there, I didn't die. I went into the main room and then I picked up some shit and I left.
No, not that. I mean the.
that was in the.
When you have to shoot down the escaping Shinra sub when you first get the sub.
Yeah, well, I shot it down really, really quickly.
Okay, just making sure. That one I personally consider to be easy. I don't think I'd ever.
What did you get from that?
That you get the big materia from that one.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got the big materia.
I think you can actually technically shoot it down and then just never recover the big materia. But you can find the Shinra sub crashed on the ground, and if you go near it, you'll get a little cutscene where it's like, you got the big
Oh, that's
materia.
what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So I had 2 of them, and I took them up to Cosmo Canyon, but not 3. Also, I didn't realize you can be Tifa and then go to the snowboarding minigame in the gold saucer as Tifa.
Yep.
That's amazing, and I'm gonna have to do that next time.
Yep. Yeah, you can.
That's
I
fantastic.
think you can't. I think you cannot ride the or do the bike minigame as her though, or you do and it's still Cloud or something.
Oh, weird. Okay.
But yeah, that was one thing I always liked about the Gold Saucers. They took some of the most fun mini games that they put into the game, and like the snowboarding mini game is actually like okay for what it is, even though there's no real point to it.
Yeah. Cloud's bad at snowboarding. I'm like, he's carving, but he's really bad at carving. I'm like, put me in the game. I'm so much better than that. And I only say that because I've been snowboarding and I've been skiing in general since I was like 4. So like I know how, clearly.
You know how it goes. Yeah, the controls are certainly not great.
Yeah.
I always like watching speedrunners do that because I think literally nobody can ever get through without getting hit by something.
Mm-hmm.
No one can get through.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
It is.
But I like that. I always like that they had the gold saucer there for you to relive like a bunch of the best moments in the game.
Yeah.
You know,
I did master materia and it split. Yeah. I did master some materia. Yeah, mostly all split, and then I got Chocomog to split. And like something
did you
else.
happen to try to sell any of your mastered all materia?
No, cause
It's the most OP thing in the game. When you master an all materia, it's worth 1.4 million gil.
Oh my god! Wow.
You master one all materia, sell it, and then never worry about money again in the game. Like you can fund the most expensive like side quest in the game is the Chocobo side quest. You can fund the entire Chocobo side quest no problem on one all materia.
That's crazy.
And still have money left over to buy whatever else you see in shops.
I just thought of the other bullshit mini game in the game that I hated.
Which was?
The fucking bird reactor minigame with the little dudes you have to place on the cliff and then they fight. Yeah, that's the slowest effing terrible it was awful. I hated it.
Yeah.
So I was like 25 minutes in and I'm like, I don't want to sit through this. I'm like, how long is this gonna take? This is gonna be like hours. I'm like, this is terrible. And then someone's like, okay, do you want to know what to do? And I'm like, yes, please. And they're like, just let the enemies get to the top. You can just do a normal battle. And I'm like, thank you. I'm like, it was awful.
And then fun fact, if you somehow lose that battle, which is like the easiest battle ever, you get kicked out of Fort Condor, can never return.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I wouldn't because I was way strong enough to be able to win that, no problem.
Yeah.
Pretty much every time I went, I probably could have handled it. But, like, I just didn't know. I hated that.
It's honestly a bad minigame, but you can go back there and fight them, like, you can fight the Shinra there, like something like a total of 16 or 18. There's like a bunch of times you can go back to Fort Condor at different parts of the game. And a couple of them have like kind of good rewards, but I've literally never done that in a playthrough. Yeah. I don't know who would want to play that mini game.
Why would you do that?
It's pretty bad.
I don't care.
It's pretty bad. I always admire their attempts to do them though.
Oh yeah, the Mog mini game in the Gold Saucer.
Oh god, that's dumb.
Nope, first try. Boom! I was so good at it.
Yeah, it's...
I loved it. I thought it was so cute. I was like, you get to be a Mog and then you feed it and see if it can fly. And I was like, 5 for the first one. And I'm like, he looks like he did a different animation, so that's probably right. And I'm like, let's go. And he's like, he flew. And then he did the same thing for the third nut on the second try. And I was like, I'm a genius.
I think it's 5 and then 3.
Yeah, it's 5 and then 3. Yeah, it was so cute.
I was just... It is cute. I've seen it so many times that for me, it's always like, you always want to do it once because the first time you beat it, it gives you 30 GP, which is useful at that point in the game.
Right, exactly.
But it takes a really long time. It's like a really, really long one playthrough for 30 GP. It's probably faster to just play the bike game 3 times.
Yeah, but it's also probably the same amount of time as like one effing stupid ass supernova move that Sephiroth used. So the second time I fought Sephiroth, he used it like 4 times in the battle. And then by like the third time I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go across the street and get a snack, and then I'm gonna take a shower and get a nap, and then like play another game, and then I'll come back and maybe the move will be over. And then we can continue the battle.
Safer Sephiroth has a set AI cycle that's only 4 steps long, and on the 4th one, he always casts Supernova.
It's so annoying.
It's really bad.
Oh god.
It's really every 4th move he has is that move Supernova.
All summons with no HP cost? Wow. Yeah, that would have been. That's cool.
What was that?
A master summon? Master summon.
Yeah, that is true. And cool. The thing is, master materia, you have to
get the huge materia.
You have to get the big materia or the huge materia for the corresponding color.
Right. Yeah, that's what I figured, but I didn't know what to do with it.
Then you have to master every materia in that category. So it's a lot of grinding to get a master materia. Or you can just beat either Ruby or Emerald. I think it's Emerald gives you the reward for beating Emerald is all 3 master materia, master magic, summon, and command.
Wow, for Emerald?
Yeah, that's for Emerald, and Emerald's the harder of the two.
But that's the hardest thing to fight in the game anyway.
Yeah. Well, get this, though. Ruby Weapon, the other one, gets you a gold chocobo. You definitely need a gold chocobo just to beat him in the first place. Like, because that cave that you were asking about before that I said was part of the chocobo minigame, that one actually contains a garbage materia, but the 2 materia that you get from the chocobo minigame that are really powerful, I guess 3. There's Knights of the Round, which is a summon that hits 13 times.
Right.
So, and each hit is like really powerful non-elemental magic.
I've heard if you spam that and like manipulate in something, it'll like it'll make your characters like auto hit.
Yeah, the other thing was Mime. Mime
that's it.
Lets you do whatever the last person did.
Right.
So you W summon Knights of the Round and then mime that again on another character, and you just chain cast Knights of the Round a jillion times.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then the other thing is Quadra Magic, which Knights of the Round actually doesn't work with, but it lets you cast one spell 4 times for the price of 1 spell. So
that's so nice.
The Chocobo minigame is super powered.
Okay, well, I'm going to do that next time I play through. I didn't do like anything with Chocobos because I'm like, I don't know how. I don't really feel like it.
They're really fun.
I didn't know what to do, so I just didn't really do anything.
It honestly, it is kind of hard. The only way to get the special Chocobos, basically, you can breed Chocobos to have like better stats in racing.
How do you breed them?
You have to buy the stables from Chocobo Billy.
Okay.
Then you capture them in the wild, send them back to the stables, and then you need a male and a female, and you can breed them by giving them a nut. And there's a couple of different ways to get nuts in the game.
Oh, I think I had at least one.
Yeah, you get a couple nuts. Greens, you feed them to improve their stats or you use greens to either catch them or to improve their stats for racing.
Right.
And then the better their rank is in racing, the higher chance they have of breeding to create, and there's like a whole specific formula.
Special Chocobo.
You get Chocobos with special properties that can traverse special terrain in the world. So there's 4 materia caves. Blue Chocobo can go over rivers and shallow water. Green Chocobo can cross mountains. Black Chocobo can do both, and Gold Chocobo can go anywhere. And then there are 4 materia caves that all need those special requirements.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't find the other 3 areas that I couldn't get to.
Yeah, the rest of them are pretty out of the way. One's near Wutai. The one that you're talking about is probably the one by North Coral. Or like Costa del Sol. One is in the very top right corner of the map, and then the last one is...
No, that's what I'm talking about. It's like on the end of like a beach.
Oh, that one. That one is that one's the one by Mediel. That's the one that you need the blue chocobo for. But then there's one that's just like a tiny little round island that it's covered in forest, so the high wind can't land there.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's like not even on the map and stuff. It's
interesting.
Super secret.
Nem. Oh, that's okay.
Supernova is it's really, really long. What's funny though is that none of the nuts that you buy from Chocobo Bill can do anything for special chocobos. Like certain nuts are needed for special chocobos. Both of them are stolen from enemies.
Oh, yes. I had no idea. Yeah, I mean this is all the stuff that I just don't know about. Like
this is stuff crazy. That is I don't know how people found this stuff out themselves.
So I've told you about, do we do all the characters? Cloud's okay.
Nope.
He definitely starts out being kind of boring, but kind of there. You're just like, whatever. He's being a dick. That's fine. And then he gets a lot more interesting.
Definitely.
Talked about Tifa. We talked about Aerith. We talked about Barrett, Vincent, Ketchy, Yuffie, Sid.
And Red. So that's actually everybody. Yeah.
So we did talk about everybody.
I thought we had one more. Or no, we did have one more.
I do know about Zach. Yeah, I know about Zach.
Cloud was the one. Did you happen to get the further flashback in the Shinra mansion basement?
They told me to go down there. Yeah, where Zach breaks him out. I beat it. I beat Sephiroth, and then Andy's like, "Yo, go back in the Shinra mansion and do this thing real quick." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And that's like what I ended stream on. And that's like how Zach dies. It's so sad.
I know. Yeah.
Holy crap.
And that scene, I won't say anything there. So they actually made like a whole prequel game about Zach that explores that a little bit further. It explores their friendship a little bit.
That's Crisis Core, isn't it?
Crisis Core, right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard about.
And Crisis Core, I at first didn't like Cloud's personality in, but I eventually came around to it. They make him very shy, kind of weak, and you can really see that in his flashbacks. You know, I always really liked Cloud, because he's a character that sees himself as weak at first, and through horrible trauma is forced to take on a persona of strength. And he ends up sort of faking it until he makes it in a way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
He got experimented on and was...
Guys, that's how confidence works. Just look at Cloud.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I like that.
I think he's a deceptively strong character, you know? Just because... I think he's a character that speaks to us a lot because...
Yeah, he turns like... He starts weak, and then he tries to be strong, and then it kind of fucks him over. But then it like causes him to get strong in the end because he's like,
right.
I'm just saying, like, so he's a kid, he tries to be a soldier, doesn't make it, so he's like shaming himself, and then joins this program that, you know, kind of involves him in the rest of the game because Hojo's like, let me inject stuff with you and then call you a failure. So it's like that doesn't work out, and then he like just meets up with people and has to be strong after that.
Right.
But because of his like failures, it like leads him to figure out how to be strong for real. And then at the end of the game, he's like, "Yo, here's the whole everything going on with me, and we're just gonna do this shit anyway." Let's go, team.
I really like his whole journey to true strength. He kind of has it from the get-go, at least physically, because of the fact that he got experimented on and he went. Even though he never made it into soldier, he eventually gets the soldier treatment as part of Hojo's experiments.
Right. Yeah.
And he's a character that we see 100% broken down into little tiny pieces, like to the point
literal pieces in the live stream.
yeah, actually, yes, we do see him literally broken into pieces.
Literally in pieces.
He's broken. He gets completely shattered in his consciousness and his everything he knows about himself to the point that he stops believing that he's even real.
Yeah.
And through the help of the person who has been there for him his entire life without him really knowing it, Tifa, he's able to piece himself back together.
And that's why she's my girl.
That's why she's the best.
My girl. I love her.
I've actually, as much as I like going along with the story of Aerith and Cloud first, I really think that she gets underappreciated because of like the things that she does for Cloud. Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. That like modest selflessness.
Yeah, and there's a couple other times where his other friends kind of tell him that they're there for him too, despite his problems. Barrett tells him like, if you freak out again, I'll go upside your spiky head. You know, they tell him that like we'll keep you right, but you have to stay on the path. Like he tries to quit after he assaults Aerith.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But they drive him forward, and through doing that, and through finally facing and confronting his issues and being able to overcome them with his friend, he's able to come out in one piece. He finally figures out all of the things that he's been lying to himself about. He comes through in one piece, and on top of that, he confronts his demons and he overcomes them. That's why
this is Kingdom Hearts. My strength is my friends. This is Kingdom Hearts. That's what Kingdom Hearts is literally all about. It's like, my strength is my friends, and may your heart be your guiding key.
Okay,
and Cloud is able to defeat because of his friends, and I'm like, that's Sora.
I mean, that's kind of what it breaks down to, but they don't harp on that so much.
I know, no, I'm just making a joke. I think it's so funny. That's adorable.
I thought you were being real for a second. I was like, no.
Just when you phrase it like that, I'm like, that's like Kingdom Hearts. My strength, my friends are my strength. My friends are my power.
All right, fine.
It's great. It's great.
Well, the series did eventually offshoot to Kingdom Hearts, so there's got to be some kind of route there.
Yeah, I see the inspiration. I'm seeing it.
Big time, yeah. No, I really like how Cloud was reduced to the shadowy emo figure in Kingdom Hearts, and they even were like, okay, we don't have enough or we have enough broody characters, so we can't include Vincent, so we're just gonna wrap him into Cloud.
I just came up with a theory: is that Cloud, Sephiroth is like the dark part of Cloud, but I think in Kingdom Hearts, Cloud is the dark part of Sora.
That just might be. Wait, isn't that Roxas?
Huh?
Or isn't that Roxas?
No, Roxas is Sora's nobody. He's not like dark. He's not like darkness. He's just like an empty shell.
He's just like shitty Sora.
Yeah, he's just like shitty Sora. But I mean, like Cloud's all dark and emo in Kingdom Hearts, and like Sora's the one going through this whole adventure and gets totally broken down and then saved by his friends. So I'm like, maybe that's the light part of Cloud, and they're just like, we'll just include the dark part of Cloud.
No. Interestingly, I didn't know that about Sora. That Sora really gets like broken down.
Yeah, he gets kind of fucked over a lot in the games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when you play it, you'll be like, yo, you can, I don't know. You take offense to that? I never said Roxas is a terrible character, but he's just like, yeah.
Shitty Sora. Shitty Sora. We just mean he's like, it's like you go to the store and you want to get Sora, but Sora's sold out, so you have to go with like the generic brand, and there's just something missing. That's Roxas. That's how I understand. As somebody who's only really played the first game, that's how I understand nobodies.
That's so funny. Yeah, kind of. The organization specifically gets pretty interesting when you play Chain of Memories, which I didn't fully play through, but just their dynamic. I mean, I watched all the cutscenes and we've talked about it a lot. So, to my understanding, the whole
yeah, we have
organization is like explored, and I've talked about it with my chat a lot. Like the whole organization gets like explored.
You're specifically about the organization.
Yeah, okay. It's like people just.
You giving me the whole like how to play Kingdom Hearts?
No, but I did do that with him, guys, so he'll be
sorry.
Ready. Diet Sora.
Yeah, he's Diet Sora.
That's so funny. I think this is a really quick point, but it's similar to like with Kingdom Hearts. When somebody messes with the people that I care about the most in a game, I'm gonna like them a lot less. So the fact that Roxas and like Xion are like parts of Sora that take away from Sora being able to be himself, I'm obviously going to like them less. I just don't like them as much because I'm like, you're taking away from the character that I like being able to be a full person. So go away so that my person that I like better can come back. So that's why I don't like him as much.
In this case, if you're rooting for Cloud in 7, Sephiroth basically does that as his whole thing. That's like his like majority of interaction with the party throughout the game is him trying to get Cloud to doubt himself and his existence. Him exerting his control over him. So in my opinion, the reason I bring that up and the reason I'm asking if this is true is because that's why I think Sephiroth is such a well-written villain.
Yeah, he's really interesting. He's super interesting.
Isn't he? Like you kind of see where that I don't understand the fanboyism over Vincent. I totally understand the fanboyism over Sephiroth.
I can understand why you don't like Arden as much because of how well you know Sephiroth.
Right, yeah, and that's with that being my formative RPG experience, and like seeing a character,
it
villain,
looks like he's like a shallow version of Sephiroth.
Right, exactly, because you really do get a lot of him.
Yeah, I think Arden could have been a better character if they had. I mean, he just needed more. He needed more. Like even if it was somewhat similar to Sephi in some kind of way, like the way that the ways in which he's different from a Sephiroth-like character, like, could have made him a better villain, but we never got to hear about it or experience it, which is
right. You start to it's often very jarring to me when a villain starts to try to get into a hero's head, but they have no real connection. It would be like if the Joker and Batman didn't know each other that well, right? Part of what drives their confrontation so well is that they have this rapport together. They have this ongoing, you complete me-ness because they're so different.
Yeah, but that was at the end. I don't know. I'm just thinking about I don't know if that's the best example because the Joker first shows himself by being like, here's my card that randomly gets sent to Batman. And then he just randomly starts doing shit. And Batman's like, yo, stop. And then eventually they meet later. And then he's like, yo, you complete me. But then it's still like a weird buildup where they see each other and they know bad shit's going down. And that reminds me of
specifically the Dark Knight.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the Joker.
I was talking like overall Joker, Batman.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know enough. I can't say. I don't know.
Well, okay. Well, that's part of what makes them, and that's kind of why they had them have that connection in the movie.
Yeah.
They kind of had to establish that. But in the movies, it's always like a new threat. They always introduce the villain.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I don't know enough. Clearly, I don't.
Yeah.
So I'll just back out of that part. But I guess in 15, like, this is an introduction. I mean, it's an introduction villain in a way. I don't know. It's like they're trying to elude the air of mystery, and I guess they just took it too far.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that
we don't fear him enough in a way, and then chapter 13 comes and it's like the game's blatantly going like fear him, and I'm like,
yeah.
I just think that they went about that wrong. If they had done done a weird, creepy build up throughout a couple of chapters, and then 13 was a lot shorter, but it was just kind of like the summary, like the end of like a creepier build up beforehand, maybe that would have hit a lot better.
I think so. I think that's a really good point that they don't do enough to make you fear Arden. I think a good villain is one that we as protagonists, or people who are rooting for the protagonist, fear. We want to fear them because there needs to be some sort of sense of threat. There needs to be a reason that we're going into this, and there has to be some kind of risk involved.
Yeah. So with Sephi, like, we should go back to 7 because I'm just thinking.
That's.
Yeah, with Sephi, like, you're
gonna lose that one.
Yeah, no, you get all of it though with Sephiroth. Like, you get all of it because, like, the way that Cloud tells the flashback, I don't know, it's cool because Sephiroth isn't really there, but they give a background story that makes him like intimidating as fuck.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I was getting to.
Yeah, it's
isn't that
cool because it's still like this. It's like he's an air of mystery, yet we know about him, but we don't. It's weird. Right. I don't know. It's this really weird.
If he's alive or dead. Like, we're pretty sure he's alive, and then we're sure he's alive.
Yeah.
And on top of that, throughout most of the game, you're chasing him.
Yeah.
Throughout most of the game, you're just on his tail, and you're kind of like wondering the whole time.
You're not. Throughout the game, you're chasing him because he wants you to.
Right, and that reveal as well.
It's not chasing him. It's like being drawn to him.
Right, like you've been manipulated this whole time, and then you're like, I'm really in over my head. Plus he's apparently got a remote control into the brain of the main character, so like that's obvious weakness right there.
Also, Terra's kind of annoying. You'll see.
Terra, is Terra?
He's a Kingdom Hearts character.
No, Terra was the one of the main characters in 6 in Final Fantasy 6.
Different Terra.
So, I was very confused for a second.
Terra in 6 with 1 R or 2?
With 2.
Oh, okay.
With 2.
Oh, well, then they reused that name.
Yeah, and it's a female too.
Oh, well, in this one it's a male. In Kingdom Hearts, it's a dude. Yeah.
Interested.
Okay.
Well, so this is like a major reason that Sephiroth has always been one of my favorite villains of all time, is the amount of time that they spend setting up the mythos behind him, setting him up as someone to be feared, someone who's got, like you said, an air of mystery, an air of uncertainty around him, and ultimately one that has a connection and a reason to be invested in the main character. Even though he doesn't really know Cloud, clearly the past that he had with Cloud was not as involved as he thought. That was Zack's past.
Yeah.
However, he still at least knows who Cloud is, and he's able to recognize the fact that he has Jenova's cells within him, and so he probably kind of has like access to all of his thoughts.
So he's like Voldemort.
He really is, yeah. And another fantastic villain, the one that they really set up to make you freaking scared of.
Yeah, because they're mentally connected, and you know how strong he is, and and then he has this creepy power, and he's always like aloof, and we have to keep chasing it. And
yeah. And just like Voldemort, towards the end of the series, he kind of wins. He almost does win.
Yeah.
You know, there's that moment where, you know, Voldemort comes back, and then all of a sudden he's back into power with all of his cronies and stuff like that. And then there's the moment where Sephiroth summons Meteor, and there it is, right in the sky. You got the writing on the horizon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's your favorite villain. I don't blame you. Voldemort's really well written. Yeah.
He really is. And that's part of it for me, you know. Yeah. That's the establishment, and it's something that they seem to have dropped in a lot of more recent games. You really have to establish your villains in order to make them feel.
You do, or else it seems like this black and white. You don't like this guy because he's evil.
Right. Exactly.
Not like, yeah.
Exactly.
Because they do that sometimes, and like that's a very Western like old Western style way to look at it, and that's fine. I mean, it obviously worked in Westerns, you know, like this is good and this is evil, but
yeah, good guys, bad guys.
Yeah, so it's okay to have that happen sometimes, but like even the game I'm playing right now, I feel like I'm kind of the bad guy, but I don't know yet. I'm playing a new platformer called Hollow Knight. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen much of it.
Have you ever played Ori?
No, I played a little bit of it, and I really want to get back into it.
Did you ever play like Metroid games?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you like that style? It's like that style. It's Metroidvania, and it reminds me a lot of Ori, and it's really fun so far. But it's got like this beautiful 2D animation, and it came out on Friday.
Oh, so awesome! I have seen a couple of people playing it.
Yeah, so it's really new, but like I'm like traversing this area, but I'm getting like I've gotten like a couple warnings from characters, like being like, I know what you're trying to do, like, and then they're like, I'm not gonna let you get away with it, or like there are these souls that kind of came out of the ground at one point, and they're like, leave us alone, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm just exploring, like, I don't know, I don't seem like a bad guy, but I might be the bad guy, I don't know, I'm really interested.
It is a lot better when morality is
under
a
question.
Little bit gray.
That's why Ghibli movies are so good too, or Ghibli, what you know, for whatever, for people
Giblets,
who are, yeah.
Whatever it is.
But yeah, when morality is questioned and people have more lines of gray, like the characters we like better have more lines of gray. Except for like Sora's an exception for me. And like Link's an exception for me. I have a couple exceptions
like
that are just
shining gold standard. Yeah, exactly. He's like the perfect, always puts his friends before himself.
But so he doesn't have shades of gray in terms of like being evil, but he does have flaws, which I see and accept. You know, and we've talked about that a bit. You know, he's a little too naive sometimes, but that's part of why he works well with like Riku, or like why he needs his friends to balance him out. Because Goofy is the smartest character in the entire Kingdom Hearts universe. He's always right. Goofy has never been wrong.
Goofy's never been wrong?
Yeah, if you play through the games, I got to go back and see. But whenever Goofy has questioned something, he's always right. And then Donald and Sora are like, nah.
Yeah, so they think they know so much better than Goofy, but really his simple observations are the truest.
Guys, am I wrong about that? Have there been any moments where Goofy's been wrong? Because I think Goofy has always been correct. I got to go back and play now, but like I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so it's just seeing especially enemies that have enough background to see why they are the way they are. It makes them so much more understandable, which can also make them more intimidating in a way. Or yeah, just like more fearful, because you see how they turned bad and why it's affecting them so badly, and that's probably going to relate to how strongly they're going to fight for what they think is right, which is evil.
Definitely.
You know?
Definitely. And on top of that, like I find it most interesting when these characters aren't acting alone. Yeah. Or if they are, they at least have some allies. And Sephiroth, even though he seems to be like pretty capable of doing this, of his own volition, at the end of the day, his existence and his power is only made possible by Jenova in the first place, who always sort of has this weird influence. And it turns out we've been chasing her body in the first place.
And he's using Cloud. Cloud is like his like little puppet.
He's using Cloud. He's using the other Sephiroth clones. He's using all the tools Shinra gave him, basically. He's using the power of his mother. And on top of that, Hojo is one of the major villains of the game as well, even though they never work directly together.
There are three major villains. My son. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Hojo's gross and creepy and weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say that I'm losing it. Something about...
I was mentioning the villains.
Yeah, it's probably related to that.
Hojo. Okay. Well, there are considered to be three main villains in the game. Obviously, Sephiroth is like the antagonist we all know and love.
Oh, I remember.
Go ahead.
It's just a dumb side note. That Red is number 13 out of these experiments, and there are all these dudes with numbers below that and black cloaks, and I'm like, it's the organization from Kingdom Hearts, and I'm like, look at that.
It might have honestly been an inspiration. Yeah.
It might have.
But so I guess Red was his attempt at injecting Jenova cells into an animal. But Hojo's ridiculous. Hojo's a moron. But the three main villains in the game, I found it interesting that you kind of have a trio of villains that are all working towards the same goal without actually ever working together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The goal is the planet's destruction. They end up...
Wait, it's Who are the other villains? Because the Shinra headquarters guys, they're not necessarily trying to kill the planet on purpose. They're just trying to take over the planet.
They're also Shinra is one of the major evils, but they're not really one of the main villains. They kind of lose their bid at villainhood.
So you're saying like
they die.
So would you say the main villains are Sephiroth, Genova,
and Hojo?
Okay.
And Hojo.
Okay.
Those are the three major villains of the game. And
Hojo doesn't necessarily want to destroy the world, though. He just wants to see what happens.
Sort of, yeah. That's the interesting thing. He's willing to enable Sephiroth and help Sephiroth, and he's also the reason he's considered a major villain is because he's responsible for Sephiroth.
Right, and you have to fight him, and he wasn't that hard, but
It's interesting because they are. If you want to look at it at an alignment grid, you kind of have Sephiroth being the sort of lawful evil. He abides by his code. He thinks he has a right to the planet. He thinks that he's going to inherit his mother's legacy.
Yeah.
And Genova serves the neutral evil. She's a force of nature. She doesn't really have.
And Hojo's chaotic evil. Oh, look at that! That's cool.
He just wants to see what happens.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like it.
I always loved the trio of villains, and I always kind of wondered why so many villains after that work so alone.
Yeah.
And because Sephiroth is a very lonely character. He never really has anybody close to him around aside from his mother. But even then, you never actually see any of those three characters directly interact except in flashbacks.
Yeah. Well, now
I always thought that was so interesting.
Yeah, for sure. That is.
It's one of my favorite parts. Hojo is one of my favorite lunatics, and a lot of people often compare Sephiroth and Kefka. As people mentioned, Kefka's the bad guy from 6.
Okay.
But Kefka is much more similar to Hojo. He's just crazy and fucking doing shit he feels like.
Now I want you to go replay 10 and to see what you think of the main enemies in that. Because I would say there are at least 2. Mm-hmm. Could maybe think of 3 for that as well.
I do. I remember Sin, and I remember the guy who was supposed to marry Yuna.
Yeah, Seymour,
that's it. Yeah. And I remember kind of liking Seymour. And I remember him being
Seymour? He's so gross.
I mean, liking him as a villain, meaning not liking.
He's really, he's actually really interesting to me personally.
Yeah.
And he's also very enabled as a character, but you should replay.
That's right. Yeah, he's like royalty or something, right? Yeah. Let's wait until we're able to replay it.
Yeah.
I know you've played it much more recently than I have.
Yeah.
But so overall, okay, so that's all the characters. We got the villains. How about just like overall? You've already mentioned that you want to replay the game.
Yeah, so I do, because I want to figure out how to get the better materia. I want to figure out what to do with chocobos. Like I'm trying to understand what else I missed, because I'm glad I did get some of the side stuff. I need to get picked as Miss Cloud. What else? How do you get the key to get back into Midgar? Can you? Because the guy's like, I think I lost it on an archaeological tour or excavation tour. Do you get it by getting the people to dig it up for you?
Yes.
I couldn't fucking do it. I tried like 15 times in a row, and I'm like, I don't get where it is. I don't know where it is.
What kind of treasure were you searching for?
I did both good and normal. Mostly good treasure. Okay. Is it normal?
Yeah, it's good treasure.
Well, I did mostly good, and I searched up, above, and below in different areas. And
it is really hard to find. A lot of times they don't point at it. They point at an item on the ground, I think. I think the way that game works.
A third to half the time, though. Even when I tried to dig right where they point at us.
It's honestly a shitty mini game. I hate the Bone Village.
Yeah, I like the puzzles much better in 7 than I like the mini games. I didn't like a lot of the mini games.
Yes, yeah. And although 7, in my opinion, establishes that even if your mini games suck, it's still better to include them.
Yeah.
Like, it breaks it up for me. I think, so many JRPGs are just nothing but that gameplay from start to finish.
I can agree with that.
I just wish, they did a little bit more. Because I think with modern game development, you could make some great mini games.
Yeah. So I agree that it's nice to have those in there for something different, but just a lot of them were bad.
But yes, you can get it's right. I can tell you right now, the key is in there. It's right by the nose of the crashed airplane. If you look for that.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. And that gets you back in. That's how you get Tifa's ultimate weapon.
I think I dug like really close. Oh, that's how you get Tifa's?
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah.
Man, I could have gotten that because I tried. I tried for like a while to get the key. at least I figured out where it was. Like, in a way, like, I figured out how to go back and look for it. I just couldn't find it specifically.
Yeah, that. Unfortunately, the return to Midgar, if you get the key back, it doesn't really give you a whole lot. Like there's not like a whole lot of story behind Tifa's ultimate weapon.
Yeah. But you already experienced so much while you're there, and they don't open up the rest of Midgar anyway, so.
That is true. You really don't get to explore the whole city. I kind of wonder if they'll do that in the remake. Sorry.
What?
So I was just gonna ask. It sounds like you enjoyed the game overall.
I did. Yeah, I did. It was a game. Whenever. So I don't know. I have a really interesting emotional reaction to things. Sometimes I react very immediately, like when Ketchy ruined my date, or when I first got the date, or like when Aerith died. When Aerith died, I just had the big. I was like, oh, this is oh yeah, Aerith is dead. We need to talk about that. Because
That's right. Aerith's death.
Yeah. But I will first say that, like, when I am playing through the game and the next night I'm like, oh, I really want to play more of this game, then I'm like, oh, that means I'm enjoying the game.
Sure.
And then I start thinking about why I like it and like what is pulling me to it. And I could see that happening. Like, it's happening right now with Hollow Knight, and it was happening with 7. So I was like, I'm ready to play more 7. Let's go for it. I want to do it. So clearly I enjoyed it enough to want to continue it and to want to play it again. So I had a good time.
I am glad. Yeah.
Oh,
Andy,
really
I don't think that's actually a glitch.
The what?
I think that's actually intentional, where if you go back to the church, you can see Aerith's ghost for one time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she's like tending the garden, and then she disappears, and then if you go back in, she's not there anymore.
Oh wow, okay. Oh, that's weird. That's cool. And then I saw Andy post about like you can get the one frame of her in front of the high wind between Disc 2 and Disc 3. That's cool.
The one, what was that?
You can get like a frame of her, like a picture of her in front of the high wind between Disc 2 and Disc 3. Yeah. Okay, I saw him post that earlier. Yeah, so I mean, I took me a while to figure out the digging minigame, but I'm still not very good at it because I was still trying to work it out. I don't know, man.
Also, but yeah, so Aerith's death.
Yeah. Also, saying no offense, real quick. There's no point in saying no offense, but because it's like not. It never really negates it. That's okay though. No offense, I did suck at that game.
Offensive thing.
Yeah. Okay, so Aerith's death.
Right. So this was like the first game in the first major game that was story based to just kill off a playable character.
Yeah. And that's cool. I like that, and I understand that it was when one of the people's moms died in real life. Right, so that's why they decided to make it's why they tried to make her death seem so random, because death is random, and I'm like, that's cool, but
but
and like, I don't know, I'm gonna explain up to this, and then I'm still gonna question it. I also understand that they did have a lead up to it because she breaks away from the group. She's going off on this kind of journey to do this special thing, and then gets killed right in the middle of it, like, or right after it happened. So like, I get it's supposed to have this kind of somewhat random, but also somewhat of a build up kind of death scene.
Right.
But even with all that, when she died, I was at first surprised because I was like, whoa, okay, well, I guess she's dead. And like watching it happen, you're like, whoa, wow. So I had like shocked face for a bit, and I was like, whoa, here we go. Andy, Kim, oh my God, you guys. But then after that, I was like, I feel bad because instead of being like, oh my God, Aerith is dead, I'm so sad. Like, some people were like, oh my God, I cried at this part. And I was just like, okay, I guess she's dead now. We'll continue. It felt really random to me. Like, random to me in a way that didn't make me appreciate it. I was just like, I guess she's dead now.
That's understandable.
Okay, bye. Like, and I felt bad. Like, I felt bad about that.
No, honestly, because when I was younger, I never really had much of a reaction to it, especially because Tifa was my preferred as a kid. I always favored Tifa, and then Cloud was really mean to Aerith. Like, me and my brother, I think it was hilarious when Cloud was a dick to Aerith.
Oh, okay. So now that you sympathize more, you have a bigger reaction.
Right, exactly. But even then, like, it's just such like an established, like, Aerith's dying is a trope at this point. Yeah. You know, it's so known. It's like the twist at the end of Usual Suspects. Like, it kind of defined the genre. I've never seen that. but they're okay. Anyway,
Yeah, no, it's okay.
It's kind of like, defining to the point that it became it's so talked about. But
right. So I think it's like I knew that she was gonna die, and then it was at such a random point. And then again, we brought this up after, but I also, I mean, because I didn't relate to her, I didn't get her a lot in the story unless she was mandatory. Like,
right.
So I didn't bond with her very much. So that probably took it away too. I'm sure I would have had more of an emotional attachment and like been bummed out a lot more, of course. But it still would have seemed like this is an interesting moment for her to die. I think regardless, in my opinion, of just like how it happened for me, like seeing it for the first time, I was just like, okay.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
Really?
It's just...
Okay. Something about the way the scene was set up or just the timing overall?
No, I liked seeing Sephiroth come down out of the sky and put a sword through her. I thought that was really impactful in a way. But it was just like leading up to it, maybe I was just distracted. I'm like, we don't know where she is. We don't know what's going on. And I get that's like how you're supposed to feel. But it still just took away from it for like, I don't know. You're not supposed to be like, oh, she's about to die. But then I don't know. Like I just
kind of like comes out of left field. It wasn't really. I think that I guess one thing that's interesting about her death and one thing that's a little bit frustrating about her death is the fact that you never actually get to have another conversation with her. She splits from the party and then she talks to Cloud in his dreams a little bit.
I think that's part of it. We don't see any more flashbacks. Like toward the end of the game, like they just forget about her and then just immediately start talking about her again whenever it's important. And I'm like, okay,
kind of, yeah.
And we don't see anything else about her. So if you want me to bond with her more, like you're not including any other good moment. I don't know. And then they just show her face every once in a while, and I'm like, okay,
yeah. I kind of wish that they had done a little bit more with it because there were plenty of other characters that they could have explored this a little bit more with, like the Turks, who have been watching her since she was a baby. They might have had, and they actually do explore this in Crisis Core. Sung is actually kind of more of a friend to her, the leader of the Turk, who ends up I don't know why they kind of flipped that 180 because he bitch slaps her in the helicopter in the very beginning of the game.
But then he won't attack her if she's in your party, right? And you fight him, and somebody else
actually never fight Sung.
Oh, okay, no. There's one of them likes Tifa, one of them likes Aerith, and if either of them are in your party, that person won't attack.
Rude will never attack Tifa.
Okay, Rude. I was fighting Rude, and Tifa was in the party, and so they just kept attacking Cloud, and I'm like, "Fuck off! Why are you attacking Cloud?" And then I was like, "Oh, I get it. Cloud. Oh, you know when I first fought them? Apparently, that's supposed to be a really hard fight when you first fight the Turks
in Gongaga, in the swamp town.
Yeah, isn't it supposed to be pretty difficult?
It's a pretty tough fight, yeah.
You know why it wasn't difficult for me? Because I got stopped twice in a row with Chocomog.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
And Andy was like, what is this RNG? And I was like, oh, they're stopped. I was wondering why they weren't attacking. Yeah. This fight was so easy. I didn't realize they had been stopped. And then I started using Chocomog all the time. It was so
fun. It was so that is the one thing I was going to bring up, Andy, is that the one who had the most connection to Aerith is Sung. And they kind of explore that later in later games.
But they don't really talk about it much before.
But he gets killed by Sephiroth, and it turns out he was only gravely injured, but that's true of like everyone if you believe the sequels.
Oh, he's the one in the Temple of the Ancients.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's the one that Sephiroth sliced up. Mm-hmm. But I think they could have done a lot more to underscore the impact of Aerith's death. Instead, they kind of let the impact of the event itself speak for it, which does hurt it a little bit. It doesn't really drive it home.
Yeah,
it could have used
I agree with
a little bit more.
I agree with that. And I think that's definitely related to what Brian just said. He was like, it's like this. When Aerith died, it felt like, oh, the writers of this game wrote for this to happen now. Like it felt like the randomness of it felt very intentional in a way that didn't speak to me.
Absolutely, yeah. And it almost feels like she's fated to die, even if she didn't expect to.
Yeah.
And that removes the impact from it, I think.
Yeah.
It removes some of the impact.
Yeah, and then I guess for me, because I didn't relate to her, like again, just going back to this point, because it's like I had an argument earlier saying like, oh, if she's supposed to be kind of like a martyr character, then this didn't really, I don't know, it wasn't that successful. And then other people were like, yo, she's not really supposed to be a martyr. She was expecting to have a long life, and that's what's supposed to make it sad. And I'm like, well, but it still didn't really make me feel that much for. I don't know. It's like.
Yeah. To be fair,
I like that they were trying to sacrifice. Sorry for interrupting. I
no,
like
no.
that they were trying to sacrifice somebody who was talking the most about having a long life to live. It's just like that kind of like really ironic contrast. Like that's kind of nice. Right. It's a nice touch.
But overall, it just felt like a little too artificial. Just felt like it's time for this to happen now.
Yeah.
And I definitely have the same complaints about. I'm kind of hypocritical because I don't complain about that in 7, but I complain about it when it happens all the time in other games. Right?
Yeah.
All the time, and like that. To be fair, I think that's how basically every plot development happened in Final Fantasy 15, for example. It's time for this to happen now.
I think you're totally right about that.
Definitely. And I think that could have been saved a little bit. I think that they could have done that one better. Like, even if it did happen kind of abruptly, if again, they just would have characters talk about the impact of it a little bit from here or there. But what's funny to think about, it doesn't really seem like this because you're off doing side quests, you're spending a lot of time. Aerith's dying is actually really close to the end of the game. It feels like it's about halfway, but it's actually a lot closer to the plot wrapping up. So they are actually, if you continue through everything that's just plot relevant, the pacing of it actually works a little bit better because it goes from Temple of the Ancients to doing the whole like big materia gathering thing, and then Sephiroth summons Meteor, big materia gathering thing, and then Shinra falls apart, you fight the weapons, and then you're basically off to fight Sephiroth, and they're once again talking about Aerith. And with that pacing, it didn't really happen all that long ago. When you've gone and done all these side quests and kind of like maybe even explored a couple other characters' side stories, it feels like a lot more time has passed and that like a lot more has happened without Aerith for them to start lamenting her now, which is what you brought up. So I totally see that.
Yeah.
I totally see that. And they should have expected that would have been the case, that most people wouldn't go right from point to point in the story.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. That makes sense. My ears.
So,
was I yelling? I yell. Sorry. Yeah, that's
well, possibly Andy. Andy says that she thinks the idea that that Sung was killed was a mistranslation because Elena says you did my boss in. She accuses you of killing him.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see what the original translation is then, because it could really go either way.
Yeah.
I would defer to the original translation on that one.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know. They needed to add some more cowbell, clearly.
They definitely have an issue in the later games of doing the old this character has a name, so they never really died.
Yeah.
Like Rufus got blown the hell up. He's still alive in Advent Children. So then they did write like a series of novellas in between that explained how he survived, but it was literally a trap door.
Oh.
He was like, oh my God, I had this escape shaft, installed. Beep, off to safety.
Oh.
Like that. He escaped at the last second, just like Boba Fett turned on his jetpack at the last second because people really liked him.
Right, exactly. I didn't realize that his audio was loud. Okay, sorry about that, guitar. That's me.
I super loud?
No, I just turned you down a little bit. Okay.
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 I should also
What's up, Mixie?
double check my game because it likes to reset itself. Okay, cool.
That's okay.
But yeah, Brocco, this is a Jet Set Radio song. I you know what? I did really like the part where you're almost forced to kill Aerith yourself. Because it comes really close to being that on Cloud's head.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that would have been, and that's when he's finally able to like resist Sephiroth.
And you think that's part of why Sephi comes down? He's like, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why he's just like, screw it. If you won't do it, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I kept trying to move away. I was like, no, move away.
I think that Sephiroth's goal there, either way, he's killing Aerith because he needs to stop her from summoning Holy.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he knows what she's up to somehow.
Yeah.
But he tries to get Cloud to do it because he really wants to dismantle Cloud. He wants to break.
That makes sense. Yeah.
If he had gotten Cloud to kill Aerith, Cloud just would have been, I think, past the point of redemption. He would have just been done with it. He almost quit the journey in the first place because he beat her up a little bit.
Right.
If he had ended her life, it would have been a hugely, hugely impactful thing for him. He would have been just done.
Yeah.
when that fails, though, he still needs to stop Aerith in order for his plan to go through. So he's just screw it, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm just thinking right now, if I was more attached to her, it would have been a lot harder for me as well. I mean, I didn't want to do it because like I don't completely dislike Aerith. Like she has, I do like how she's kind of fearless, and I like that. And I like that she is optimistic and that she's like a little forgiving, and like there's stuff I do like about her.
She's definitely got some redeeming qualities.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know you like her, and that's cool, and that's all good. But like, no, she's not a maiden. No, she's not, because she literally at the beginning of the game. Yeah, like I agree with you, Andy. Like she's like, yo, I've been hanging around the slums all my life. I'm super used to it. Yeah. She's like, whatever.
Yeah, she's tough. She's much more. She's a pretty scrappy character,
right?
We talked about this at the beginning after you'd played a little bit, where her and Tifa are kind of physically and personality wise total opposites.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
Tifa's really
we did talk
powerful
about
but reserved, and she's very outgoing but weak.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but nope, I don't remember what I was saying after that. But yeah.
The maiden who traveled the planet. Yeah, actually, you know what I would say? The novellas that came out afterwards are actually really good. If you read the translations of them, they're actually really, really awesome and stick pretty well to the original spirit of the game. You should look those up. Okay. There's some translations out on the internet.
Well, then send them to me because I'll forget. Sure, I have a bad memory.
Andy, do you happen to have a link to Andy seems like the person who would be the one to go to.
Oh, that's true, Isaac. You have a battle right in the middle of her death. I mean, and then it interrupts stuff. I could totally see that, actually. When you fight Jenova, like she dies, and then you fight Jenova, and then you lament her death. Like, I feel like you should have a bit. Maybe they should have switched it around. Maybe, I don't know. Ooh, camera focus. Okay. I'm good.
I personally think that Jenova being there could have been more impactful, and if you understand,
it's so random.
It is very random. It works a little bit better on later playthroughs because you realize like what Jenova is. At that point in the game in your first playthrough, you really don't know what Jenova is yet. She's just this big weird monster that you keep fighting.
Yeah.
And I think you might know enough of like the Shinra science behind it now to know that like Jenova is a creature with special properties. And that it's Sephiroth's mother and everything like that, but you still don't really know that like what Jenova's power is, and so the reason that he throws a piece of Jenova at you is because you are chasing Jenova's body, and also the fact that Jenova is inside Cloud, controlling Cloud, and part of his actions.
Right, but Jenova isn't Jenova like originally an alien?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that I was correct about that.
Right. Her origin and what she does is she crashes into planets, she takes over the populace, destroys the planet, and then rides the planet to the next planet, more or less. She kind of
and is that Meteor? No, that's not.
Meteor is actually specific to Gaia, the planet that Seven takes part on. That's the black materia bound to the ancients. Jenova is an alien creature that ostensibly always has existed. And
Okay. Except for we kind of beat her.
Yeah, until basically she runs into Earth. Earth ends up being Jenova's undoing. Probably a lot of firsts for Jenova. I would imagine Jenova never had anything she could consider a son. Yeah. And I think that's kind of why she is fine passing the mantle on to Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Where she kind of tries to get him to do what she normally does, which is wipe out a planet and then travel on it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really work out. But she's sort of this like overwhelming, unstoppable force.
Right.
She's a force of nature.
Yeah.
Her landing on Earth. She's probably never been kidnapped and experimented on before either.
Right. Yeah, this is it's a little newer for me to I mean I'm still understanding parts of her, I guess. But yeah, I mean everything makes sense, so that's cool.
So that's kind of her relevance.
Yeah, basically Lavos. That's cool.
It does still kind of come out of nowhere. Sorry to tie this back to the Aerith death scene.
Oh, yeah.
I always kind of liked it because Sephiroth has to try to attack you in some way. It just happens to be throwing a piece of his mother at you.
Yeah.
And it still kind of keeps with the tragedy of the scene because Aerith's theme is playing throughout the entire.
Oh yeah, that was a really nice touch. Yeah.
Yeah, I always really liked that part. So yeah, I don't know.
Actually,
personally,
I really liked that the music was playing during the battle. That was the one I remember commenting on that. You're totally right though, Brian. You're so right, dude. Jenova's just like Lavos.
Lavos. I wish I could remember what Lavos' story was, but that's the bad guy in Trigger, right?
Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, he's in. Do you want me to tell you, or do you want to wait till you replay it?
I'll wait till I replay it.
Okay, then never mind. But I mean, you can already kind of guess if they're similar. Much.
Actually, you know what? Go ahead. So for everybody at home, so if it's a good comparison to make. I've already played the game, so
Lavos is another example of like there are more kind of enemies or like big villains you fight in the game in Chrono Trigger, but Lavos is like the alien that came out of nowhere, crashed into Earth, and has been hibernating for like hundreds of thousands of years, I think.
Right.
And then finally decides to surface and destroy the planet.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And then you figure this out because you see when, like, once you're able to, Chrono Trigger's about.
Yeah. He starts messing with the timelines and stuff.
Right. So once you figure out that you can kind of jump around timelines, you start to see Lavos' impact, like when he first gets there, or like how he's affecting the people, and then how he destroys Aerith.
Right, and that's kind of like his MO.
Right? But it looks like he's been feeding off of the Earth as well. So it's like he's something that crashes into the Earth that feeds off of it and then destroys it.
Basically,
so it's super similar to Genova. Yeah, super similar.
Right. And it's always been an interesting way to go with this idea of the random alien that appears, and like there's always going to be a random big bad guy that shows up, and it's like time to fight that. But if it really like just comes out of freaking nowhere, it's really jarring and doesn't resonate.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool thing about Lavos is that he's constantly there, but he's not. Like you're doing all this stuff in the game without him like directly there, but it's always like Lavos is around.
Yeah,
like Lavos is like hanging out over there. You want to go fight him? You're gonna get wrecked.
You can go for him whenever you want, right?
Yeah, you can fight him at like almost any time in game, which is crazy. It's really cool. Yeah, it's really kind of fascinating. But I think I got one of the best endings. I got almost the best ending in Chrono Trigger my first time through, which I felt really good about. And I'll get the best one the next time because I know how.
I think I'm gonna play blind when I end up replaying it.
Oh, that'll be cool. Yeah, I'll totally watch that. We should do that soon.
We should.
Okay, I have an idea. I was
gonna ask, what do you want to play next? Because we haven't really spoken about this too much.
Chat really wants me to play more Final Fantasies. I'm gonna be playing Zelda.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Well, the Zelda the Switch rather comes out soon.
Friday.
That's this Friday.
Yeah, so Breath of the Wild comes.
Things sorted.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah. So Breath of the Wild comes out Friday. I'll be playing that for as long as it takes me to explore most, if not all of it. I don't know how long the game's going to be, though. So I'm giving myself a month. Because I'll be taking almost an entire week off later on in March for a project that I'm working on.
I will be too for PAX East.
Okay, but that's like this weekend or next weekend, right? Week and a half? Ish?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll be gone I mean, I'll still be streaming when I'm in England, but the week after PAX, that weekend and the following week, I'll be off almost the whole week. So I'll still, so I'm going to be doing Zelda for a while, I think. And then, but I also want to play more Final Fantasies like 6, 8, 9, and 13. I think we should replay 10 together. I think we should replay Chrono Trigger together. And then more Tales games. And we have a list, guys, as well.
So what are you thinking after Zelda? Any ideas? Chris in chat wants 8.
You want 8?
And that was on your list.
Okay.
I've definitely said I'm going to replay 8, so I'm cool with 8.
Okay. I'm definitely thinking 8. People tend to say 6 and 9 more often than 8. And I have one chat.
It's not a great game, like objectively, in a lot of ways. I would be interested to see somebody's first playthrough of 8, but I feel like there's just going to be a lot of confusion because it's a very confusing game.
Okay.
Unlike 7, where I can kind of explain like every part of it, with 8, it's just I don't know. They were doing drugs. Well, that's the answer to a lot of things.
Should we? Okay, I'm trying to think. Should we switch it up where we're playing something? Guys, how should we do this? Should we just like play whatever next, or should we do it where like we like switch up who's played the game before type of thing? So like we play the same one together for the first time, and then like we play one that's new for me and old for Blacklight, and then old for Blacklight, and then new for Blacklight and old for me. Like, which way do you want to? What do you guys?
That would actually be pretty cool because that would like say I don't know Chrono Trigger or like one of the Kingdom Hearts or something.
Yeah. So I play Kingdom Hearts in November, but if you want to, that's coming out in March.
Well, I'm saying for games, if we were to switch it up and play, because if we go with 8, I've already played 8 and you haven't, right?
Right.
You
Played
8.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of ones that we had on our list that you've done before that I haven't to switch it up.
Which would be, well, I mean, you haven't played Chrono Trigger in a long time, and I just played it last year, so I'm happy to play it again. I kind of want to, I was going to say Ni no Kuni, but I kind of want to wait until we're closer to 2 coming out.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
That game is really long too.
Yeah, it'll also take definitely a couple weeks, up to like a month. It's really, it's so adorable.
Really long game.
It's so adorable, and the story's great. It's beautiful.
I played a little bit into it. It is a beautiful, beautiful game.
It's beautiful. So I'd say hold off on that for later, but the stuff that I played that you haven't, that I would want to replay soon would be definitely Chrono Trigger. I could play 10 again. I think it's been long enough. Always down for Paper Mario.
That's all right. So which Paper Mario and how would I go about?
Yes.
Isn't there
actually no? I can't just say yes.
Console?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out which ones I would want you to play. I mean, overall, you should definitely. You've played Mario RPG, Super Mario RPG.
Long time, around the same time I played Chrono Trigger, which was when I was like a teenager.
Okay. That's also a really good game. That's like the predecessor to, it's split off. So Super Mario RPG came out, and then that split off into the Mario and Luigi series, which is their current RPG line, and then the Paper Mario series, which is like no longer an RPG line, but it was. Really, no. But it's split off into both. Because, you know, in Mario RPG, it's A, an RPG, and then B, you have the whole going after 7 stars thing with lore, and then picking up.
I actually have played a bunch of the Mario and Luigi games.
I have not, so.
Well, there's that. We can swap on those as well.
That's true. That's also why I'm biased toward Paper Mario. But and it was one of the first games that I just loved growing up, which is why it's my favorite. So yeah. 10-2 I haven't played yet, so that would be
10-2 I definitely want to play at some point. I've never played 10-2 in my life.
Get out of here. You guys get out of here. Gotta press A to jump. What is that shit? I'm gonna ban all of you. Okay.
1,000 Year Door is repetitive.
Ban all of you.
That's like your favorite game, right? Is 1,000 Year Door?
So the 64 one actually is my favorite.
The 64. That's right.
I love 1,000 Year Door as well, though. It's a much more simple game in terms of story. It's definitely like a simple game would be. It's not going to give you the same depth of character that 7 does. But
shut up! Yeah, I wouldn't expect it.
It's just straight fun and cute and.
Some games do great with that. Though.
Yeah, and you can still strategize. I love badge points. That's why I'm so sad they took those away. And it's just, and there's some sass in it that I just love. Bowser's really sassy as a villain in the game, and I'm like, yes, yeah. So that's why it's part of why I like it. It's just the environment that you play in, and it's one of those like Western style games where you're like, this person's good, this person's bad, but it's just super fun and cute. Like, so I don't know, I just enjoy it a lot. So Super Mario RPG, and then Paper Mario, and then 1,000 Year Door. And then you can play Super Paper Mario. It's good. It's just a totally different style of gameplay. The story's still good, though.
Sure, yeah. I'd be down for original Mario or something.
Yeah, but then it's just one that I don't consider as much of a Paper Mario game, you know? And then don't play Sticker Star.
Let's say, I think they had like a whole doc list.
But, well, there aren't that many Paper Mario games. It's Paper Mario, TTYD, Super Paper Mario, Sticker Star, Color Splash.
Right.
Color Splash has... I mean, this is... You know what? Nope, this is my honest opinion. It's a terrible combat system. And it's terrible to stream. But if you take that away from the game, which is a huge part of the game, most of the rest of it's actually really cool.
Okay.
I can tell you some great things about Color Splash. I think the there are 3 or 4 things I didn't like about the game. The one and the big one was the combat system. I didn't like that there's an overworld map, but the music builds every time you beat a main area, and it's really cool how they mix that in.
That's cool.
I didn't like that you didn't have partners. But that's because I'm attached to old Paper Marios. And then I didn't like that they didn't have original characters. They used like all goddamn toads. There were so many toads, and I hated that. But
yeah, I kind of wonder if we would even want to like play that on this show, because it doesn't really seem like much of an RPG anymore.
No, I would. Yeah, I'm just saying for you. But what I yeah.
I don't know. I've heard so many mixed things about it. I probably wouldn't give it the time.
What I will say about it that I loved, because it was a game that I was like, I want to play more of this game, even though I hate the combat system. So clearly there was something that drew me in. I liked the story. I thought it was actually pretty good and adorable. Okay. It looked beautiful. The music was awesome. Some of the puzzles were really cool in the game. Once you had all your cards shit ready in battle, and then you actually got to do actions that felt similar, because you could do similar jump moves or similar hammer moves to like older Paper Mario games, which was nice, but it just took so much work in combat. But there was a little bit of combat that was good, and then like it's just kind of the overall feel of the game was good. And again, I did like the puzzles. I liked exploring new areas. I liked how they mixed, some of the paper stuff in there for puzzly stuff and just traversing the land. I thought that was cool. The thing animations, they're like these thing cards. And
thing cards?
Yeah, and then it turns into like a big 3D object, and then has these hilariously stupid 3D animations. There's a fire extinguisher, and then you color in the card, and then it goes 3D, and then the whole background fades away, and then it's like it lands on top of a building in a burning city, and then the enemy's right there on the building too, and it just like starts like spraying all over the enemy, and then does a ton of damage. Or like the piggy. Yeah.
It's like it does physical humor very well.
Yeah. So the humor's good in it. So like the humor's good. So I liked, it was pretty funny. And the story was good. So like there were things that I did really like about the game. I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
It might be
the worst part with combat and NPC variety, but it's good otherwise. Yeah.
It might be a good game for me to like. It would be kind of interesting to start with that one, having no previous conception of no preconceptions whatsoever about the series.
Maybe.
But I just don't know that I'd really have time for it compared to a whole bunch of other games that I've heard such great things about, or games that like I know I like playing.
Play the 64 and then TTYD. If you want actual RPG gaming.
Yeah. I've been meaning to get my hands on Thousand Year Door. But let's see. I pulled up our list. Bravely Default is an option that we could do.
Yeah.
I've played through a lot of that, but not finished it. There's Earthbound, which you've played and I haven't.
Oh yeah.
Earthbound.
Yeah, we could do Earthbound.
Earthbound's an option.
I kind of like doing the back and forth, but that's just how I do it. I like mixing things up.
I personally think that works.
Yeah, so I think, now that we've both played something new together and then played something that you played and I haven't, that means we should do something. We should do the reverse. So I think
so. Yeah. So we can definitely keep that on the board. Earthbound,
Chrono Trigger, Paper Mario. What do you guys think?
Let's see what else.
Or Final Fantasy X. I think those are really the main options on the board right now. I replay a lot.
No, it's all good. I'm looking on our list here. Yeah, I think that's really all we have.
Yeah.
But there's also a couple of games that we have on here that I think neither of us have played. Like someone in chat Shitos asked about Skies of Arcadia Legends.
Right.
That's one neither of us have touched. I don't think we've either played Child of Light.
Have you played Legend of Dragoon?
Nope. No, never played.
I've never played that. I need to play more Tales games.
Suikoden, I think we have on here. Did we write down Suikoden?
Should we do like a straw poll or something?
It's definitely an idea. I think this is something we have plenty of time to think about because we're probably going to be doing Zelda in between.
Yeah. We'll both be doing Zelda. So what do you want to do about the show? Should we just come on and talk about other stuff? Or do we want to talk about, do you guys want to hear about Zelda?
I think we could probably at least talk about some of Zelda, and if we're not actively playing an RPG, Aside from that, we could certainly pick a game and then discuss that leading into it.
Yeah.
We could. There's a couple things we could do.
Right, we're not going to play Chrono Cross until we do. We want to do one that I have done, Niche, and I haven't played Chrono Cross yet. So not yet.
Right.
Maybe at some point.
How about Vagrant Story? I hear a lot about that one.
I've never played that one. Yeah, put it on the list.
Added.
Right.
Haven't played it, Hair Clan.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we have some options. We can definitely also meet up and talk about just kind of like what we've been playing in the interim as well.
Right, exactly. Sure. And Zelda has some RPG kind of qualities to it. RPG-esque.
Definitely. Definitely. I think we could definitely talk about it as a game quite a bit, but we wouldn't be able to get as involved with the things you would normally get involved with in an RPG, story and characters. Those are, I mean,
there will be a lot of story.
But sure. But it's definitely not the same presentation.
Yeah. At least we'll have an open world feel, and we can talk about the upgrade. You know, we'll pull whatever RPG elements we can out of Zelda and talk about it.
I think there's going to be plenty to talk about in the game.
Yeah.
You know,
it'll be cool.
But
all right, guys. So
I'm really glad that you like 7.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good, I'm glad I liked it too.
A lot of people don't really dig it because of just how old it is, and there are, as I'm sure you noticed, plenty of visible flaws.
Yeah, but it's like a mini game or two, or
like a dodgy translation here or there. But that some people that's totally unforgivable.
Yeah, and then some people, it's like the polygons. I just laughed because the backgrounds were actually really pretty, and then the polygonal characters are like really funny. You get over it.
They do a lot with them.
Woo! She liked it. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was great talking to you again about it, Fufu. We'll meet up and discuss what we're gonna be doing in the meantime. But next for both of us is Zelda.
Correct.
Whether or not it ends up being late for me, I got my whole thing up in the air.
Right. But we will be playing Zelda, and then you heard some of our ideas for what we'll be playing after that, and that's, what we'll always be referencing on the show, which would be cool.
So stay tuned for that kind of stuff.
What are you playing tonight?
Okay. Tonight, I'm going to be finishing up my run of 7. I actually haven't finished yet.
Oh, cool. So if you guys want to watch more 7, go watch somebody who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I'm finishing up 7. I'm going to be doing a little bit of side questing, getting everybody's ultimate weapons and limit breaks that I missed, which I think just about at this point. Nice. and then off to Sephiroth.
Nice.
So,
okay. Yeah, no, I never got Knights of the Round because I didn't know how. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, but I'll work on it next time. Save that one for the replay. All right. Well, I'm going to go for a break.
Okay, me too.
For my cast, Fufu, enjoy your break. Enjoy the rest of your cast. Fruit Basket, enjoy Fufu's cast. My guys, you're stuck with me.
Bye, Black Lightning Chat. Have a good night. We'll talk soon. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Bye, Fufu.
Bye. See you later.